Hey, my name is King. If you don't know who I am, my name is Israel King. I'm a writer, director, and anime commentator on my main channel, King Tannic. Now, if you've been a fan of pop culture for any amount of time, then you surely must have noticed the sudden rise in popularity in anime and manga. Films breaking box office records, series topping the most pirated show of the year chart, and of course, the very apparent fan base that has surrounded it. According to a poll back in February of this year, about 50% of Gen Z watches anime. Now, if you're not Gen Z, it can be kind of hard not knowing anything about this new, sudden, very popular corner in the pop culture zeitgeist. And that's where we come in. King Tannic and the Burnettwork have partnered to bring you the best anime and manga related news show on YouTube. The Otaku Experience is your go-to place to find out the biggest stories of the week in the anime and manga industry. Still not convinced? Try the show out for yourself. The show airs Thursdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time or 5 p.m. Eastern. The Otaku Experience, only on the Burnettwork.
Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, Robert Meyer Burnett. I invite you to watch and listen to the Designing Hollywood podcast, brought to you by Martika Ibarra and the great, legendary Hollywood costume designer, Marilyn Vance. I am afforded the wonderful opportunity of co-hosting the show. If you are interested in the magic of Hollywood, the design of Hollywood, the clothes of Hollywood, watch the Designing Hollywood podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts from, or find the video version on YouTube. That's right, the Designing Hollywood podcast. Why would you ever want to miss it? Especially if you love the movies. Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your pharaoh of physical media. Let my 4Ks go. That's right, Robert Meyer Burnett, and welcome to another episode of Let's Get Physical Media. I bet you thought I'd stop singing that song, but no, I have not. I have not. And we're going to talk about the we're still here and still kicking, and we're going to talk about the explosive nature. And when I say explosive nature, I mean explosive nature of what physical discs are, well, what came out. And you know, the thing about it is, you know it, I know it, I have to remind you every week, but you know it's coming. I can't do this show by myself. You'd be sick of me. I'm on the internet too much as it is. So what we need is we need your favorite German, my favorite German, everyone's favorite Deutschman. Mr. Dieter Bastian from Saarbrücken, Deutschland.
You saved it, Rob. You saved it in the end.
Tried it. Look at that beautiful Japanese Phantom Menace Laserdisc. Woohoo!
Yeah, exactly. Thomas Logan wanted that I bring it out, so here it is, Rob.
Should I go get mine? Pull mine too?
Let's start with it. And I put it out, Rob, and it even had in it a little bit, of instruction.
It shows you how to set up your surround system.
Yeah, exactly. So I say, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Dieter here. Here I am, rock you like a hurricane, and welcome to the B&B Motel for Let's Get Physical Media. Let me just put that back in. And Rob, I'm in a good mood, and sometimes it's time to give our loyal audience, we have a small but loyal audience, something back.
It's growing every day, buddy. It's growing every day.
Yeah. And today I wanted to give something to our viewers who are here in the live chat. You have the possibility, not like with Rob, all the masterpieces that he gives away, the artsy-fartsy stuff, Oscar-nominated movies. No, you have the chance to win the trash masterpiece, Mad Heidi, today in a media book edition, 4K. There's only a little caveat to it. Of course, you will have to answer a question later. And secondly, the Blu-ray in the set is region B. The 4K should be region 3. So if you have a 4K player, you should be good to go. But the Blu-ray in the set is region B, but the extras are on the 4K. But if you are not interested in this great masterpiece, then probably leave others to answer the question. And I will only wait 1 or 2 minutes, and then Rob can chime in and win it if I don't get the correct answer. So he can take this away from you. So later you have the chance to win Matt Heidi Media Book. This is already sold out, this edition. Mine you will see later with a different cover variation. And Rob, I'm in a good mood also because I saved some money this week because I haven't seen Indiana Jones and the Butt Dial of Embarrassment, but you have.
Come on, man.
Let me hear your takes, Rob, of it. And of course, how are the final numbers of it?
I didn't hate it.
Okay.
I didn't hate it. You know, I mean, in comparison to all the movies I've ever watched in my life, see, the thing is, it's a handsomely produced movie. It's very well made. But I think that ultimately, I mean, first of all, I'm not one of these people that hates Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Fleabag is a great show. She's incredibly talented. And I don't necessarily, I'm not one of those people that is against, I mean, the Indiana Jones franchise has always had strong female characters. First of all, Marion Ravenwood, great, strong female character. I mean, Willie Scott was supposed to be more comedic relief, even though people thought she was annoying as hell. She still did go through the adventure. And then, of course, you had Ilsa in Last Crusade. And so Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and I know she's not necessarily a traditional beauty, but I think she's beautiful in her own way. I like her as a performer. So, you know, I didn't have a problem with her. I think that the biggest problem that I had with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is the lack of joy in it. It has action, it has adventure, it has kind of an interesting plot and all of that, but it wasn't fun. You know, the Indiana Jones movies there's a sense of, from the opening scene of Raiders, which is shot in silhouette, and, you know, the jungles of South America in 1936, and before you even see Harrison Ford's face, he's in silhouette, and there's this great mysterious piece. One of my favorite John Williams pieces of music that nobody ever talks about is the beginning of Raiders, over the title of Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then there's this great, even a musical sting, dun 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 dun, when Harrison Ford finally steps out into the shaft of sunlight and he is revealed. It was fun. You know, it puts a smile on your face because the Indiana Jones films, by definition, were derived from the idea of the serials of the 30s and 40s that would always leave you with literally a cliffhanger, where someone's literally hanging off a cliff. And I mean, not all of them, but that's where it came from. You know, that fun sense of when you were a kid. Well, I wasn't a kid because I never got serials in the theaters, but I saw them later, like The Adventures of Captain Marvel, which I owned on, they made a Shazam movie in the 40s in 10 parts or something. But most people don't know that, but it's my favorite serial of all time, and I think it's also one of the greatest superhero movies of all time is The Adventures of Captain Marvel, not the MCU Captain Marvel, the real Captain Marvel, which we now know is Shazam, but we can't get into that here. But so in the fact that you've still got the same actor playing him, you know, the movie is set in 1969, which makes Indiana Jones canonically basically 70 years old. I thought Harrison Ford was great. He delivers a great performance. I think one of the best performances he's given in years. So he's clearly having a good time. But the very DNA of the Indiana Jones franchise, I mean, he's a kind of a broken man. You know, and I in a way, the older broken man trope has become a cliche. You know, we saw it in Unforgiven back in 1992. William Money was a broken man. I mean, he was an evil man, but then he became a family man, but he was still slopping manure on a pig farm. You know, and then even my beloved Captain James T. Kirk in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, he's a kind of a broken man, you know. And so having our pop culture icons, Han Solo, broken man, I'm tired of that trope. And I immediately, if Indiana Jones isn't having fun, am I having fun as an audience member? And I think that it's, I mean, I understand that we get to see this long extended scene at the beginning in World War II. That was very cool. You know, I really liked seeing that. The de-aging was very impressive. Still a little bit of an uncanny valley, but still impressive. I understand why they had to do it. Just a tool like anything else. But, you know, if I were Indiana Jones, and here's what I find. Here's what I find, and I find this about writing across the board, whether it's Star Trek, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Doctor Who. I feel that all the writing now is taking the easy way out. And I think it would have been far more interesting. Like, we saw in Raiders that Indiana Jones likes being a professor. He likes being a professor at teaching at school. And his students are enraptured. The guys are there. The women are blinking "I love you" at him. You know, and now he's like this guy that he's not cool. You know, he's not particularly well loved amongst the faculty. And there's been tragedy in his life on multiple counts. His personal life is a mess. And you could argue that, well, he's always been a broken man. He in Raiders, he was in his relationship with Marion had broken, and his mentor Abner Ravenwood, they had a falling out, so he was unhappy in his personal life, and so that could be an Indiana Jones trope. But if you're Indiana Jones and you've seen the Ark of the Covenant, or not actually watched it, but seen the aftermath of the Ark of the Covenant vanquishing Nazis, you've seen what the power of the Sankara stones can do. You've watched Mola Ram, well, maybe you didn't, but rip out the heart of a kid that's still beating. You've seen mysticism. You've seen a 500-year-old knight give the Grail and to him, and he saved his father's life with supernatural powers. He's seen evidence of aliens. So you would think at like 70 years old, Indiana Jones, I thought, would be fucking Gandalf. He would be this wizened, like, enlightened. If I had made this movie, he would have been some crackpot Timothy Leary guy who's spouting off about all this crazy supernatural stuff that he's seen. Because but they still play it down like, well, you know, I've seen things I can't understand. I'm like, come on, dude. You've been privy to the power for decades. I mean, we last saw him in the 50s. Now it's at least 15 years later, and man has landed on the moon. And I would think, well, we know that there's aliens on Earth. Now that we're venturing off into space, that maybe. So anyway, I'm going off because you should never review a movie about what it isn't. You can only really review a movie about what it is. So the portrayal of Indiana Jones in the film, I thought, was cliche. The broken man trope for Indiana Jones. I mean, I get it. I understand why they go that way, because it's a very easy way to set a story up and tell us where a character is without having to develop him further. But I would have much rather had him be like the crazy uncle that has seen too much, has probably eaten too much peyote in the jungles, and what are all the adventures we didn't get to see Indiana Jones go on that obviously affected him, and yet to me that would have been more fun, like a Doc Brown character from Doc Brown meets Timothy Leary or something like that. Okay. And I just from the very beginning I'm like, am I supposed to be having fun? You know, with depressed Indiana Jones?
Normally, yes.
and I think that ultimately that's what I sort of objected to in it. I mean, even when like after Indiana Jones believes Marion Ravenwood is dead in Raiders, and Belloc, he's drowning his sorrows in booze, and Belloc sits down with them, you know, De Fuhrer, even Indiana. I'm still having fun, even though Marion Ravenwood's dead, with Indiana Jones. And in this film, and another thing, I mean, I don't know, it's for some reason the movie felt like it dragged a bit. But still,
Okay.
I will say this: it feels like I'm complaining about it. I liked it more than it seems like most people did. I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was an enjoyable time at the movies, and for me, if I could equate it to, it was a mid-level Bond movie for me. You know, I would say
Okay.
it was an Octopussy, maybe. You know, not top
Strange comparison,
tier,
but okay.
you know, and that's the thing. I mean, I've seen so many James Bond movies. I love the James Bond franchise. I will say, I just like seeing Harrison Ford playing Indiana Jones again, and I did take away everybody bitching and moaning and complaining about. I mean, there's a contingent of my friends and people I really like on the internet who pre-hated this movie. It didn't matter. This movie could have been the greatest movie in the world. But, and that I don't think is fair, because James Mangold as a filmmaker deserves more respect than that. And it was okay. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I enjoyed seeing it. I will buy the 4K. I thought it was better
That's
than
our rating here, Rob.
I thought
That's
it was
our
better
rating
than
here.
Crystal Skull. Now,
Okay.
the next thing
Since, just quick, Rob. Even if I have not seen the movie, I have Let's Get Physical Media friends, Rob, who have seen it and contacted me with little reviews. They are not long, so just 3 reviews from Let's Get Physical Media watchers. We have Terje from Norway. He wrote, "Indie was good. It really looks and feels. Really looks and feels the part. The opening sequence is spectacular in the same indie way perhaps a Bond movie has become for its pre-credit scenes. The music, the sepia tones and faded colors, and the insanely heavy thuds of punches puts you straight into the indie adventure. While Crystal Dull had more of the idiotic elements of Temple of Doom, this feels a bit more tonally like Last Crusade. There can be only one Raiders. The opening is the best part. The middle could have been trimmed, but the end is enjoyable as hell. The movie is surprisingly violent. Enjoyable, would watch again." This came from our friend from Terje in Norway. My friend Thomas Logan said, "The Dial of Destiny wasn't bad at all. It's not the best indie movie, but it's good. The big reveal is pretty epic. Good overall plot. The connotations of it and what the villains wants are pretty ingenious." And my friend Tim Hens wrote to me, "In a nutshell, it was okay. Problem with the movie, it was very baggy. Really didn't need to be 2.5 hours long. The Harrison Ford de-aging at the beginning stood up well for the most part, but were still instances where the imperfections would show. But for the most part, it worked well. Mads Mikkelsen, fine actor that he is, tries to be some type of René Belloc adversary from Raiders, but unfortunately falls a little bit flat. Fleabag and their sidekick, who should be named Moroccan Short Round, as he has the same backstory as Indy sidekick in Temple of Doom, were annoying for the most of the time. Worst of all, the last act involving time travel with some malarkey called Fissure of Time, whatever the fuck that means, is a little eye-rolling, silly, and preposterous to say the least. Not bad, but Indiana Jones ends on a whimper rather than a crescendo." So, Rob, does it end on a whimper at the box office?
Well, Dietz, let's delve into this. Our friend, of course, Nancy Tartaglione, on Deadline, writes, "Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny clocks a soft $130 million global bow at the international box office. Disney Lucasfilm's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is off to a disappointing start with $130 million global opening. Of that, $70 million is from 52 international box office markets, as the fifth installment of the beloved 42-year-old franchise came in below projections. Anthony has run down the reasons behind the domestic launch hitting the bottom rung of the rain, while overseas the picture is essentially as predicted, even if worse than expected. Europe is overall performing well, though France has been affected by early cinema closures as riots engulf the nation. Japan, where older audiences lean into nostalgic, has been good but not phenomenal, while Latin America and Asia Pacific are lackluster. We expected nothing out of China, and that was the correct bet. The market has no history with Harrison Ford's adventuring archaeologist and is heavy on local titles right now. The 3-day gross in China was $2.3 million. Yeesh. The James Mangold directed entry originally world premiered at the Cannes Film Festival back in May, where it garnered tepid reviews. Audience reactions have been better, but the movie sadly just didn't hit the mark. It opened #1 non-local in all material European markets and was the highest debut of 2023 in Finland, Denmark, and Greece. Across Asia Pacific, Dial of Destiny was #1 in Australia, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Japan, New Zealand, Philippines, Singapore, Taiwan, and Thailand. In Korea, it was #2 behind Elemental. So 2 Disney movies. Also this week, IMAX brought in 11 million global, 5 million which came from overseas. And so that's good.
It's, I believe 10 million below what was projected. I think it was 140, I believe.
Yeah. Now, domestically, so it's hit the bottom rung of its tracking. And here's what, since Nancy brought this up, here's what Anthony D'Alessandro writes. Yesterday, I learned from a key source that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, before $100 million in estimated P&A, that's basically marketing, cost a mind-boggling $300 million plus, much higher than the $250 to $295 million that's been leaked out there. Well, of course, because exchange rates changed and it was overseas. Disney doesn't comment on budgets, and I'm getting some pushback, but the high price tag here is due to the start and stops of production during COVID, Harrison Ford's $20 million fee, which I'm told director James Mangold got a pretty penny, with Steven Spielberg reaping as standard for a huge producing fee. That said, it stands to reason Disney would invest greatly here to revive a franchise. They spent $259 million on Force Awakens. That the point is, what the studio spent, they're not getting anywhere near Star Wars box office. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny has been destined to live in a temple of box office doom since world premiering at Cannes to lackluster reviews. This resulted in landing like a wet towel on tracking 3 weeks ago, with projections not budgeting. This despite the fact that Dial of Destiny had a marketing and publicity global campaign louder than The Flash, with the cast doing several interviews and $90 million in promotional partners. It's baffling that a storied franchise can end on a downer note at the box office in its finale. I found the movie out of Cannes to be too plug-and-play, laden in tropes of the franchise, from the kid's sidekick to video game-like action to his goddaughter, not his dad, as his other sidekick. It completely lacked the breadth and nuance that Steven Spielberg provided in action scenes of the older films, and I'm a James Mangold fan. He knows how to make styled and dramatically charged movies, just like Spielberg, whether it's Logan, Ford v Ferrari, or Walk the Line. I'm not too far off in my take of the film. CinemaScore audiences gave Dial of Destiny a B+, which isn't that far from a previously unloved 2008 installment, which landed a B. So what the hell went wrong here with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? Lucasfilm is so precious and fastidious when it comes to developing Star Wars properties, and the legend with Indiana Jones is that these movies could never be made unless George Lucas and Spielberg saw eye to eye on a script. Remember all the TLC that J.J. Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan took in hatching Force Awakens? There were stories of them walking down NYC streets going back and forth on storylines. Given the black eye that Lucasfilm took on The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker and Solo from fans, they're careful not to just rush and dump sequels nowadays, which is why it's taken them so long to bake the next Star Wars sequels. All of this makes the misfire here with Dial of Destiny so concerning. The biggest problem with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is that there were no efforts here to cast it up and make it appealing to an under 40 diverse crowd, like Paramount did with Top Gun Maverick. Dial of Destiny was conceived for the hardcore indie fan, which are dudes over 50. This is evident in the B- that Dial of Destiny received from 18 to 24 moviegoers, and Disney reports that 42% of the audience was under 35 for Dial of Destiny. I'm told from a few insiders that this movie did not have the behind-the-scenes calamity melodrama of such Lucasfilm titles as Rogue One and Solo: A Star Wars Story, installments that required major surgery during production. No melodrama, meaning everyone got along, with Mangold calling the production and Lucasfilm boss, indie producer Kathleen Kennedy, and producer Frank Marshall family at Cannes. Spielberg loved and signed off on the script by Mangold and his Ford v Ferrari scribes, John Henry Butterworth, and that's a challenging bar to clear. Yesterday, I heard that several editors were brought in to get this one right. It's unfortunately apparent here that the sublime with Mangold delivered to the X-Men franchise and the R-rated Logan did not translate to Indiana Jones. To date, co-franchise architect George Lucas has remained silent about his thoughts on Dial of Destiny. Anyway, that's what I'll say about that. And let's check out the grosses. So Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny domestically made $60 million for the weekend, but there's still a holiday week to go here.
Okay.
Across the Spider-Verse made another $11 million. It has made $339.8 million domestically. It's already outgrossed the original by $200 million worldwide. Elemental is up to $88 million. No Hard Feelings with your girl J-Law is at $29 million domestically. Transformers is at $136 domestically. A new movie, Rudy Gilman Teenage Kraken, made $5.3 million, and people seem to like that movie. Little Mermaid is at $280 million. The Flash has made $99 million totally domestically. Asteroid City, $18 million week 3. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is up to $354.8 million domestically. The Boogeyman has made $40.8 million. So there we are. That's the box office for the week, sir. I mean,
nice. So Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse should have crossed 600 perhaps now worldwide.
Close. When I looked last,
okay.
It hadn't gone past 600 million yet, but it looks like it's going to.
Easily. So let's see how indie will hold.
I mean, there's an interesting. Here's the thing for me. I always say that pop culture has a half-life of 20 years.
Exactly.
And pop culture by definition, it's popular culture. So it's driven by the youth market. And like, for instance, in America, pop music, if you go to the UK, everybody listens to pop music. The UK has a very different pop music market than the United States. Music appeals to multi-generations in the UK. It always has. But in America, like, pop music it skews younger. It's always skewed younger here. Well, the thing about movies now is movies are not the go-to entertainment for young people. If you're between 10 and 30, you're playing video games. You're on TikTok, you're on Instagram, you're watching YouTube videos. Movies are not the thing. So the youth is not like, for me, when I was a kid, I was a movie fanatic. I mean, when Star Wars came out, I was 10 years old and I was fanatically interested in movies. That universe is gone. And I understand why they think making an Indiana Jones movie for older people or an older audience. But the thing is, even though the audience is older, we still want movies that feel like they felt when we were 10. So when you're watching an Indiana Jones movie and you give us our hero who is essentially reflecting our own lives, divorce, death, tragedy. It's like why
Bang.
I mean, who wants to watch that? So when you're Harrison Ford, deadbeat dad. I mean, Han Solo, deadbeat dad, lost his ship. Who fucking thought that was a good idea? You want these guys to Harrison Ford, Han Solo should have grown up to be fucking Patton. He should have been the coolest motherfucker in the universe, even though he's... And same with Indiana Jones. I mean, like I said, Indiana Jones is fucking Gandalf. He's being played by an 80-year-old actor. His character's 70 years old. He should know more than everybody. He's wiser than everybody. He's seen more than everybody. He knows God exists. He knows the universe is wondrous. So to make a character like that, if you want to make an old character fucking awesome, make him like an awesome old character. Don't make him some broken down gunfighter that's seen better days. Make him fucking Gandalf, coming back as Gandalf the fucking White on Shadowfax. Fuck yeah! I mean, that's what you gotta do. You don't make... And so, you know what got it right? You know what movie got it right? Top Gun Maverick. Maverick, 36 years later, he's fucking Maverick. Yeah. Fuck yeah! I'm gonna go to Mach 10, man! Mach 10! I mean, that's how that movie opens. He fucking wrecks the thing and crashes in the mountains and walks into a diner. You have a phone? The audience is like, fuck yes! Down, 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 down.
I mean... Well, you asked, where am I?
I mean, it's... I mean, this is how you... And this is not rocket science. And I understand. I mean, they have to add. Oh, look, our signal went down because I guess they didn't like me being so loud. But this is not this is something easily understood. This idea of taking these iconic characters and, you know, they're older, so let's make them all broken people. This is not pulp entertainment. This is not what we want. And Top Gun Maverick made $1.5 billion. I mean, exactly. A movie that everyone's
which I never thought it would go that far.
Well, Tom Cruise understood. He's like, look, man, I know I'm pushing 60, but I'm still Tom fucking Cruise. Like, I'm not gonna play some. I'm Ethan motherfucking Hunt, and wait till we see what he does in 2 weeks. He's gonna crush because Tom Cruise understands. Nobody wants to see me be some broken dude. You know, I'm gonna come back and kick ass. Tom Cruise is up there. My life is less important than your lives. He's gonna save the fucking world, and he's gonna have fun doing it. I mean, that's why No Time to Die fucking sucked. You know, I mean, James Bond, boo-hoo, blah, blah, fuck you, Bond. If you're not making a James Bond movie where James Bond loves being James Bond, you don't know how to make a James Bond movie. And even though these characters are fucking... Indiana Jones is 70, I'm telling you, he shows up as Indiana Jones the fucking White on the back of Shadowfax, sword raised high. Let's go, motherfuckers! Sorry, I'm swearing too much. But it drives me... It just drives me... It drives me crazy. I am tired of watching heroic characters being diminished because we have to make them relatable. They're not relatable. They're larger than life characters. That's why we love them. That's why you're watching Top Gun Maverick and all these people are like, we can't do this. What does Tom Cruise do? Steals a plane and says, let me show you how it's done, you young whippersnappers. That's why we love that movie. That's why people went. We want aspirational heroes, and to diminish them, we're all gonna be old one day. We're all gonna, as they said in Blade Runner, accelerated decrepitude. That's what happens to replicants or whatever, and we're all gonna feel that. Give me an Indiana Jones movie that shows me that being 70 years old, you can still kick ass and save the world. Don't be like, I'm not going to go back to my life. It sucks. Leave me here. I mean, come on, man. Anyway,
and
this is my diatribe.
I have from the most important critic, you know, the quotes that will be on the slipcover of the Indiana Jones 4K. Because from IMB, one of his quotes will be on Scream 6, you know, familiarity, that doesn't suck. And IMB quotes on Indy 5 will be, which I gathered yesterday from Midnight Musings. So out of context, but I don't care. The quotes will be, I felt no joy. I was watching a product. I don't feel anything. Those are the three quotes from IMB that will be on the Indy 5 slipcover.
Look, I'll tell you something. I've told people I've decided I want to get back in shape. So I've been drinking like eight glasses of water every day, no booze. Walking the dogs, I feel good, feel my face getting thinner. But what I want is heroes. You know, I can't drink myself into oblivion anymore. I can't feel, you know, I can't numb the pain with Jameson. All I have is ice water, and I love it. Not even with anything in it. Give me heroes that I love. Just because you're making a fifth movie in a franchise, don't give me a hero that's no longer heroic. I mean, Indiana Jones is still heroic, but reluctantly.
Yeah.
You know, I want fucking Thanos, who grabs the Infinity Gauntlet and says, you just got to do it yourself. But the heroic version of Thanos. So,
totally.
To me, so Thanos is a hero. He had a goal. He had a desire. Yeah. He's like, I'm going to change the universe, and he did it. And then the Avengers had to come along and screw it up and cut his head off.
Nice. So that's what's our box office take for the week, considering Indy 5. Where do we go, Rob? Should we show some stuff?
Yeah, why not? I've been going off. It's we're 38 minutes in this show or something.
Who starts?
Go ahead.
Rob? Okay, I start with some titles. Cat in the Bag. Not seen it. Not know what it's about, but looks good. Movie called The Seed.
Ooh.
I don't know if you heard about it, Rob. I don't know what it's about.
It looks like it's HBO's The Idol repackaged in a different box.
Oh, okay. Can you tell us a little bit about The Idol? Is it good?
Oh no,
on
I
HBO
don't
Max?
know. I don't know anything about. No,
Okay.
The Idol is
Okay.
the weekend. What is that about? What is that supposed to be about? What does it say it's about on the back of the box? The seed. What is it?
Let me just see. I'm liking going in blind, Rob. Let me just see.
Then don't tell me. Don't tell me. If you're going in blind, you haven't seen it yet. Don't read the back of the box. Just show me.
Sci-fi horror comedy.
Okay, that's all I
as a
need. That's all
genre.
I need to know.
On the back. This one you showed already, Rob, I believe last week. I got mine this week. Ronin.
Did you
That's
look at
okay,
it?
but
Did you look at it at all?
Unfortunately, not Rob. I got it yesterday, so I didn't have time.
Oh, dude, it
to
looks
give it
so
give it a
good.
watch. Nice. That's what I want to.
The unofficial that comes from the unofficial sponsor of this channel, Kino
Yeah.
Lorber.
Love. The next one up, I haven't seen Cat in the Bag, but an older one, or perhaps I have seen it from 88 films from the UK, the 4K of Burial Ground, which is an Italian movie. It looks like La Notte del Terrore. So you've got different cover underneath it. Comes with 2 discs, Blu-ray and the 4K. And let's see what 88 Films has put in, of course. Little bootleg. So we demonetized the show already
Yeah.
before
Happens.
I get to Matt Heidi pictures, which will be nice. And the poster of it. Rob, do you know Burial Ground? I
Yes.
have no idea.
It's all right. Not bad.
Oh, okay.
Hey, man,
So
you got to buy these Italian horror films just to support the companies that are putting them out.
I have to check, Rob. You know, perhaps I know the German title, which could be totally different than Burial Ground. Actually, the outer shell is pretty nicely thicker than usual. I would say. So Burial Ground. Then from one of independent filmmakers, which now these days he mostly cries when he sees the Marvel logo for 2 hours. I got More Rats, the 4K from Kevin Smith, from Arrow, which has a different cover variation underneath. We want to change that. And it comes with the theatrical cut of More Rats and the extended cut. And this is probably was the floor plan or the plan that they made during the movie. And as far as I remember, Moritz was a movie that didn't do well at the box office, but it became a cult movie later in Kevin's career. Yeah, the plan that they made. So this is a nice, cool idea to put that in. And we have a little booklet that Arrow put in 2 for More Rats. But like Ronin, it came in yesterday, so I didn't have the time to check how the quality of the disc is. So this is a little bit of my first horror up from my end. More Rats from Arrow in 4K.
Well, I didn't get much this week, but I did finally get my 3D avatar.
Oh, Red Rock! I can counter that. That is one I have seen yesterday, and for me, the 3D picture is a 10 out of 10.
Dude, it's This is the best 3D disc ever.
Yeah, totally. So for me, Rob, totally honesty, I will probably at the moment not get the 4K. As long as my TV works, this is the only version that I like to watch.
Well, you know, I saw that I got the 4K.
What I would have loved, Rob, even if I'm not a fan of HFR, if the 4K would have come with HFR look, you know, that would be totally different to this one, then I would have been more inclined to get the 4K too. So you would have both 2 very different visual looks. But this is totally great for me. So at the moment, probably not going to get Avatar: The Way of Water in 4K.
No,
if I have to watch it, it has to be 3D.
It's absolutely astonishing.
Yeah, totally.
It's absolutely astonishing.
I even thought, Rob, it came it was better here than it was a little bit in the
Theater,
theater. You know, from
Bri-
from the from
brighter.
the
I mean,
dimensional a little bit.
I still am running I mean, one of my dreams is to, if I could, convert this garage into a home theater. And I mean, build it from out from scratch, or maybe even open it up. I mean, I don't know if I'd ever be able to afford something like that, but because having a projector, you can still get 3D.
Yeah, exactly.
And it would be spectacular, because I probably have about, I don't know, just if I were to guess, at least 75 3D titles.
Probably, yes.
Yeah, I probably have like 75 3D discs, and it would be cool to be able to show that to somebody at home. Would be astonishing. I got something from,
but you can't start with Avatar, Rob. You have to start with a middle tier 3D title before you get into the the demo stuff.
Yeah, like Prison Girls 3D. And there's something coming out in 3D that I'll show later. I got this from this is some rando disc that showed up from, again, another unofficial sponsor, from George Feltenstein and the boys at Warner Archive. I don't know when this comes out, but this is Robert Mitchum and Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons, of course, who is in Spartacus, Gene Simmons, but who's also in the Star Trek The Next Generation episode, The Drumhead. And, of course, Howard Hughes produced this, Angel Face, another classic film, another great film. I've actually seen this a couple of times. Huge fan of this movie. I didn't know that they were putting this out, but this is a great film noir movie. And what I really like is I've been getting more and more into film noir lately, and getting the Kino Lorber, because they'd sent me their film noir collection, so I've been watching a lot more film noir. This is a good one. Now, I just got this. It just showed up in the mail yesterday, so I haven't had a chance to throw it on, but I'm sure, like every other Warner Archive disc, it looks amazing. So very excited to have this. Then I got, first of all, Paramount has been putting out 4K catalog titles, and they put out 2 in anticipation of Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible. They put out 2 Tom Cruise movies in 4K. First of all, let me start with The Firm.
Yeah.
I mean, The Firm. I love this movie. I love this movie. The first time I saw it, it's based on a John Grisham novel. It was directed by Sidney Pollack. This movie is so good. And it's got kind of a throwback Dave Grusin score. I think it's Dave Grusin. Tom Cruise is very good in it. Gene Hackman's in this movie. Wilford Brimley is in this movie. Jigsaw himself. Tobin Bell is a henchman in this movie. Hal Holbrook is in this movie. This film is Gene Triplehorn. I love this film. I love everything about it. This is Paramount used to make such great mid-level thrillers. I mean, the studio that made Fatal Attraction made this. And this is just a powerhouse of an entertainment. I love this film. I never get tired of watching this movie. And I'll tell you something. I love movies about lawyers. This movie, I'll tell you, if you want to have the perfect lawyer double feature, and if Warner Brothers, in their wisdom, would put this movie out for their 100th anniversary in 4K, you could watch them together. But if you want the perfect double feature, watch The Firm with The Devil's Advocate. Keanu Reeves and The Devil's Advocate, because basically they're the same movie. Now, I'm not going to tell you why, because they both have. If you haven't seen The Firm and if you haven't seen Devil's Advocate, watch them. They're kind of the same movie, which is why I would pair them together, but they're both fucking great. And
is it close to the book, Rob, The Firm? Is it close to the book?
Yes, it's very close to the book. Now, I have to say both of these, and so Vanilla Sky, Cameron Crowe made this after he made Jerry Maguire with Tom Cruise. This is a remake of Alejandro Amenabar's movie Abrió los Ojos, and both of them have Penelope Cruz in them. This movie was shot by John Toll, the great cinematographer. This is a beautiful looking movie. It's beautifully made. I don't think it's nearly as good as the original. Yeah. But I like this movie. And basically, one of the things I really like about this movie, again, it has a crazy cast. There's crazy cameos in this movie, too. Steven Spielberg, because this kid's like this rich, famous son of a fairy, like Rupert Murdoch or something. This kid's like from Succession if he was nice. And Jason Lee is in this movie. Cameron Diaz is in this movie. Kurt Russell is in this movie. Penelope Cruz is in this movie. I love this. I love this movie, but it's not the greatest movie in the world. This disc in 4K looks incredible. This movie has a great soundtrack. It's beautifully shot. It might not be perfect, but it's still a movie I quite enjoy watching.
It's unfortunately, Rob, them double dipping because they released the Blu-ray, with the cover that you could open up, which came, I believe, from that 4K master.
I know.
And the 4K came now, so a damn double dipping again.
Now this is gonna seem weird. So Kino Lorber has been sending me a bunch of stuff. Now I never thought I would want to jump back into DVD, but they're still putting out a lot of stuff only on DVD. So Kino Lorber sent me. Now this is a documentary by Raphael Sabarge, who was actually in risky business as one of Tom Cruise's friends. Okay. But he made this documentary called Only in Cinemas. And if you haven't seen this, it's about the power of cinemas. So I didn't even know this was out, but it's out on DVD. So they sent it to me. I'm happy.
Perhaps there is no HD master of that doc.
You know what? I mean, maybe it's because of the way it was shot. Here's the problem. Believe it or not, it's a cost thing. A company will pick up a movie, and if they have to put it out, the thing about even Blu-ray, if you're going to put something out in HD, Blu-ray technology, you even have to license Blu-ray to even put it out. You have to pay Sony. I believe it's Sony. You have to pay Sony to even put something out on Blu-ray, because if you want it to come out that technology, you have to pay for a license. So putting out stuff on DVD is still the cheapest way to get it out. So smaller distributors don't have the money. If they have a lot of lower budget stuff like documentaries like this, they have so many low budget films or movies that they paid a little bit of money for. If they were to put all these movies out on Blu-ray, they couldn't afford it. So that's why they're putting them out on physical media, and they get them into like Walmarts and stuff like that, or other big box retailers, and people will buy them because they're really cheap, and maybe they can make some money. But they also said, now I have not seen this, another documentary on film called Film, the Living Record of Our Memory, a documentary about the importance of moving images. So this is another DVD that showed up again from Kino Lorber, and I would say that, if they're sending me two movies about the importance of film, and they're putting this stuff out, again, kudos to Kino Lorber for doing it. And I'm happy. I'm happy to watch. They also sent this out on DVD.
And I would just assume, Rob, that there are documentaries that are not available on streaming services.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Now this is crazy. A Sundance movie. This movie's called The Cow Who Sang a Song into the Future. A magical, realist, eco-fable teeming with thought-provoking ideas. I know nothing about this movie.
There you go.
I know nothing about this movie, but they sent it to me. It's mysterious and it's haunting and movingly hopeful, which is great. A tale of warning about the collapsing ecosystem and about deep family wounds. So it seems uplifting. So anyway, thanks to Kino Lorber for sending me these. Because I'm going to watch them, and I'm happy to get them, especially because I didn't know they were out. But I'm really looking forward to this because I have not seen it. Yeah. And then Only in Theaters I really liked. And it's funny because I actually, a girl I used to date a long time ago, she was an agent, a talent agent, and she represented Raphael Sabarge, so I was able to meet him, and he's a really nice guy. So it's cool to see that he made this documentary, and now I own it. So that's all I got for this week.
Great.
Oh, I also wanted to give, even though we're going to get to them later, I wanted to give a shout out to Vinegar Syndrome.
Yeah.
Because even when they get something wrong, they handle it in the right way. And as we know, they found out that they had a problem with their brand new 4K disc on Showgirls. Yeah. I didn't have to contact them. They sent out emails to everybody that bought the disc from their website. And kudos to them for fixing it. You know, they sent out emails going, if you've bought it off our website from us, and I recommend you always buy directly from their website.
Yeah.
They have incredible customer service. Their discs come
And they
packed.
package the titles really good.
Really, they do such a great job. I mean, I can't say enough about Vinegar Syndrome. And they said, hey, yeah, we know, we're aware of the problem. And if you bought it from us, we'll just send you a replacement. And I'll tell you something, when the Road Warrior disc from Warner Brothers had a mistake on it, I even filled out their form to get it replaced. Yeah. I never got one. I went and bought it again.
Damn.
Just saying.
Should we do some super chats, Rob? Because there were some super chats.
Let's see. Do we have I haven't even looked. Do we have super chats? Yes, we do. We have a few super chats. Super chats and tips. Tom Jr. Jackson says, have you watched the Robert Downey Jr. show Downey's Dream Cars on HBO Max yet? I have not. It is a cool show, Rob. Oh, hi, Dieter. That's what Tom Jr. Jackson says. And Tom Jr. Jackson also gifted one Burnett membership. We have a member call coming up next Saturday. So there you go. Stubble McShave says, have you watched Raiders in black and white? I heard it's great. I mean, this was something... I don't know if it was Steven Soderbergh who did this.
Yeah.
It's online. Yeah, you can see Raiders. I mean, it's interesting because it shows you how great Raiders was. It's a tour de force in terms of Spielberg's directing. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's really interesting to watch.
Yeah.
I
would say we have seen Raiders too many times in color to make the switch that easily.
Plus, the colors are great.
Yeah.
Darth Plagueis says, I pre-ordered tickets for Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise always delivers. But my question, I've seen the Trek movies, but not the shows. What is the best order to start? With the original, bruh. Look, okay, I will be dropping a video this week. My first, because I wrote the script already, I just got to edit it together. My first RMB's 10 in 20, where I'm going to do, it's not a 10 best list. But I'm going to do, like for Star Trek, I'm going to do the 10 essential episodes you need to watch to understand Star Trek. So it's not a 10 best episode because I want people to watch for themselves. But I'm going to drop season 1, Star Trek season 1, the original series. It's going to be 10 episodes in 20 minutes, a very quick, fast, breezy video.
So 10 episodes from one season.
Episodes from season 1. So I'm going to do 3, and the whole series is going to be called R&B's 10 and 20. So you're going to get lists of 10 things in 20 minutes that I think that you should look at. But it's not definitive. It's an overview, so you get a look, you get an understanding of what Star Trek is. But it also gives you room to like go in and watch it yourself. So there's almost, I mean, it's not even a third of the entire first season of Star Trek. So it gives people a chance to go discover things on their own. I don't want to come out and definitively say, these are the top 10 best episodes, because that's subjective. People's opinions are subjective. So here's an overview of things you need to know about Star Trek and which episodes you have to watch. Like you'll meet the Klingons, you'll meet the Romulans, you'll meet Khan. You'll see what I call a meat and potatoes episode of Star Trek, you know, and why these things are important. And it's another opportunity.
So perhaps not always the obvious ones.
That's right. And it's also an opportunity to bash modern Star Trek more, which is always fun. No, I'm kidding.
That's what you're here for, Rob.
Yes. So there you go. So Darth Plagueis, look out for that, but you got to start with the original series. Our friend Undead Sick, still undead, still sick. But this was a problem with Star Wars 7 through 9 and Fantastic Beasts as well. It focuses a sense of nostalgia at us, and people like us have aged out of the target demographic. I agree. And I think that but here's the thing. We might have aged out of the target demographic, but you have to figure out stories should be timeless. And Top Gun Maverick shows that you can make a movie that does play off of nostalgia, but it also has something to say in a positive way about age and experience and how youth can benefit from that, which is something that used to be part of storytelling And nowadays, it's not. I mean, this idea that, look, even I, wise man that I am, even I are like, why are you such an old man shouting at clouds? And I wouldn't say I'm an old man shouting at clouds. My whole thing is like, make something good. Not necessarily, I mean, I do believe that things that are good are objectively good. I don't believe in the subjective nature of art. I think that there are things, whether it's architecture, call it what you want, there are things, and there are things that human beings create that are objectively good, that transcend the years in which they're made, that transcend the generations and transcend time, and they're objectively good. It's people, it's up to people, they have to be educated enough to recognize and understand why they're good. So I think that when people say that everything, like I used to have this argument with John Campy all the time. He's like, all art is subjective. No. People's opinions are subjective. But there is art that is objectively great. And it stays objectively great. Why do you think people are still looking at the Mona Lisa? Why are people still reading Shakespeare's or performing Shakespeare's plays? Or translating his stories into other mediums? Because they're objectively great stories. Why? Because they're truthful. And I think that human experience, all human beings have had a similar objective experience about being alive. And if stories reflect that, all generations respond. That's why as a little kid I love Star Trek, and why as an adult I can love Star Trek too, because the best Star Trek told objectively great stories. So,
And speaking of Top Gun 2, Rob, I was in the camp that I thought, okay, I'm interested in that movie, but who of the newer people are interested in a Top Gun 2 movie, So I had no idea how this movie would perform, Like you said, the shelf life is 20 years. It's just with The Flash. I went with some younger co-workers, Rob. Do they really care about Michael Keaton as Batman? Probably not. They had a good time, but they were not there, especially for just for the Michael Keaton Batman. We were. So I had no idea how Top Gun 2 would perform.
Well, the thing is, here's the thing. You have to make an audience care about the Michael Keaton Batman. And I don't think they did that necessarily as much as they should have, because what it should have been is, when you're playing on nostalgia, we understand the nostalgia, but it's up to the filmmakers to reestablish that character. Assume no one has seen Michael Keaton's Batman. You need to make him a character that you have to introduce the character and make an audience. Like, if you've never seen Top Gun, the opening scene of Top Gun Maverick, you get who he is. You understand that there's a whole group of guys and girls in the military that are there to watch this test flight. And you understand that they're going to shut this program down. Everybody understands that. Everybody, it doesn't matter whether you're young or old, and you have this character, Pete Maverick, who's like, you know what? We're going to do it anyway. We got the bad authoritarian figure coming to shut them all down. Yeah. Tom Cruise is like, fuck that, and takes the plane out anyway. It doesn't matter how old you are. That scenario is something everybody understands. So you immediately, for an audience that's never seen Top Gun, they immediately like this guy. He's a rebel. He's doing something he shouldn't do, and he's doing it for the good of his friends. So that immediately establishes, whether you're 6 or 60, you're with that guy. And that's what great storytelling does. Great storytelling works for everybody. And we've seen it throughout. Raiders worked for adults and it worked for kids. Star Wars worked for adults and it worked for kids. And what do? They turn these legacy characters into characters that are no longer appealing, especially to young people. Young people don't want to watch stories about broken heroes. They don't want to watch that. Or terrible fathers. Or mourning. I mean, it's like, not in an Indiana Jones movie. If you want to make a movie about a broken father, that's great. But don't put it in Indiana Jones. Yeah. Nobody wants to see that. And, I'm just saying.
And I had a co-worker, Rob, or perhaps a lot of people watched Top Gun 2 without having seen the first one. And like you said, it works. You don't actually need to have seen the first one
Yeah,
to understand what's what.
100%. 100%. Nicomedes Santiago says, thank you for saying it out loud on No Time to Die. Yeah, I don't no Time to Die, and it was reflective of that again, a joyless movie about a joyless James Bond who ends up dying in the end. Fuck that movie. And there's a reason it didn't do as well as it should have, because it wasn't good. When you say that your favorite part of a movie is seeing Ana de Armas unleash, it's like you've made a bad Bond movie. And I'm sorry, Cary Fukunaga, I was really hoping that I would get, True Detective, but James Bond, not good. And there's no more excuse for making James Bond movies that aren't good. The Daniel Craig reign on Bond, we got one good movie out of it, and I'm a Quantum of Solace apologist, and don't give me Skyfall, because I'll argue that one with you all day. I know, but it made $1 billion, Rob. What do you know about the Bond franchise? Oh, well, anyway, you come for my hot takes, right?
Yeah.
Tom Jr.
Exactly.
Jackson says, have you got your Avatar 2 in 3D yet, Rob? No, I didn't.
Yes, we got it. We got it.
Yes, we did.
Got it.
Michael Preston says, hi, Rob and Dieter. Are they releasing a 98-inch QLED Samsung for $8,000? And Rob, would you switch your plans to buy that TV instead of the projector? No. I would never switch my TV to buy a Samsung anything. I mean, I understand, because the thing is, Samsung, unless they're QLED, you'd have to convince me. There's other technology coming very soon that, look, I'd much rather give me if I could buy anything, I'd want an 83-inch Panasonic OLED, but we can't get those in the United States. Yeah. That's what I would want. So, yeah, I would not switch my plans. And in terms of a projector, projectors don't have HDR or Dolby Vision yet. You can't get them. So, but there's some new technology coming down the pike that's going to change a lot of things that I'm looking forward to. Admiral Terrier is here.
Hey.
He's been a member for 27 months, and he says, ABC's Lexicon of Love mixed in 5.1 and Atmos by Mozart-level genius Steven Wilson is coming out in physical media. Yes, get me a box of tissues. Look, as I said, one of the things I showed was getting the new Everything But the Girl album remixed in 5.1 and Atmos. Amazing. It sounds amazing. I mean, the songs, I like a lot of it. I don't love it as much as I love their album Walking Wounded, but I would totally get I'd totally get Lexicon of Love remix. And you know what I realized that I had that came out in the early 2000s was I have a Frankie Goes to Hollywood collection that's remixed in 5.1. It's pretty spectacular, and I didn't even realize I had that. Darth Plagueis does say projectors have HDR, Rob. Some even have Dolby Vision. Those have to be new then, which I believe that it's about time that they had them. But they didn't for a while, so that's good that they have them. 5 Toast says, weren't the HFR segments of The Way of Water filmed at 48 frames per second? Cameron and Disney probably would need to do a 4 to 5 frame pull-up to get it to 60 frames per second. Yeah, I mean, they were filmed at high frame rate, but I don't know what they did to how they made that work on TV, but it looks fantastic. It really does. Tom Jr. Jackson says, August 5th, 2023, Risky Business turns 40. Ooh. Wow, that's my favorite teen film of the 80s. That's amazing. Irene Jobson says, would you want me to pull a Jesus and turn that water into wine for you? Just kidding. Congrats on your health journey. Hashtag Octopussy. Yeah, I mean, I'm old, so it's always beneficial, and I've done that before. I'll stop drinking for like a year, and then I'll turn into a lush again. but it's time now that we can walk the dogs again, and it's great because the puppies are gone. GRN Gurn LPN, I don't know what that means. How do you say that? But GRN LPM said, I came out of Top Gun Maverick elated. I came out of Indy 5 deflated. Not what I not what I paid 16 pounds to see, 16 quid, and I'm a huge Indy fan. I think that's pounds, right? Yeah, that's, I mean, that sums it right up there, man. Yeah. Undead Six says, there it is, Rob. Your point of Michael Keaton's Batman that you just made is exactly what I meant to say. Yeah, I mean, look, Michael Keaton's, if you would introduce Michael Keaton's Batman like Maverick, you know, in Top Gun Maverick, where he does something, like you meet him doing something heroic, or so you immediately establish him, but you introduce him as a wild man with this crazy beard and and it's like, if you don't know who Michael Keaton's Batman is, and even when he says I'm Batman and you want to get nuts, unless you've given context to that, like if you want to get nuts is his catchphrase, and then you see him doing something, like we should have met his Batman as doing something Batman-esque. Like they go to find Batman, and it's like then he's after we see him do something amazingly kick-ass, and then he's revealed as the Michael Keaton Batman, and you see how kick-ass he is. Then it becomes, the audience is like, oh, that really is Batman. But the way they introduced him, they played on nostalgia.
Yeah.
And they didn't reestablish him as a cool Batman for young people or new audiences to like. And that's kind of a rule of storytelling. You have to kind of do that. Pod Racing Palpatine says, somehow I've returned. Again, the worst shit ever. Well, the dead speak. The crawl of Rise of Skywalker is so terrible. That movie is so terrible on so many levels. It's like, don't you people know how to make movies? Like, you have to establish characters. You gotta with every movie, even though we know who the character is, you have to reestablish the character. That's why James Bond movies always begin with their pre-title sequences. So you reestablish James Bond for every other audience. If you've never seen another James Bond movie, every James Bond movie ends with James Bond being kick-ass. Oh, wait, aside from Skyfall, where he gets shot off the top of a train. And then you hear a song about falling. I know it's Adele. And then and what do we meet? What do we meet James Bond doing? Fuck it. You know, I got shot off the train and I'm mad about it, so I'm not going to go finish the mission. I'm not going to go find the bad guys. I'm going to feel sorry for myself and play drinking games with a scorpion in a bar on the beach. Fuck that movie. Skyfall is a movie where our hero repeatedly fails the entire film until his boss gets killed on his watch. Fuck Skyfall. Fuck that movie. Anyway,
holy moly.
I know, I'm getting all salty today. I'm very spicy. The Alex Zorba says, any word on possible Excalibur, Dirty Harry, or even Grand Prix in 4K? I seem to remember somebody's doing Grand Prix in 4K. I have a fever, and the only
idea at the moment.
I have a fever, and the only cure is a call to George Feltenstein. Rock on, boys. Well, I don't want to bother him on a holiday weekend, but I should actually. He'll come on the show. I've asked him. Mark Spector's Avatar said, I still haven't seen No Time to Die, and I'm glad. Also, Harrison Ford still kicks ass. Just give him a better script. Also, Luke Skywalker lives. Yeah, he should live. Lego Fifth Doctor says, Marion Ravenwood's bar was some in Nepal. I feel Shangri-La should have been worked into their last known story. That would have been fun. I would have liked that. Michael Preston says, my projector has 4K HDR. Does it have Dolby Vision?
Nice.
Because you can get well, here's the thing. Okay, you can get 4K HDR, but is it HDR 10? And is it Dolby Vision? Because you can get a 4K projector.
It's gotten way more complicated with 4K Europe.
Yeah.
Than it was with Blu-ray.
Because the thing is, 4K high dynamic range is the base level. And the thing is, I should have made. I'm interested as if it has Dolby Vision or if it has HDR10 and HDR10 Plus, because the difference is, so mostly HDR10 Plus has variable. When you have 4K HDR, that's just a single setting. Whereas if you have HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision, the metadata constantly shifts and changes based on your projector. I mean, based on your screen. So it's making changes throughout the program as opposed to having just one setting for everything. Yeah. That's why HDR10 Plus and Dolby Vision are important. So yeah, I meant to say you can get 4K projectors with HDR, but getting variable with metadata that is variable, that's what I think projectors are missing. Science Lady says Dial of Destiny is my guilty pleasure movie. I can't stay. Okay. I'm working in the background.
Already?
Science Lady is working in the background. Science movie. Lady, green-eyed lady. So there you go. I love Science Lady. I don't know who she is, but anyone that calls herself Science Lady is my kind of lady, if you know what I'm saying. I want to read her periodic table. No, just kidding. It's terrible. Terrible. Hey, it's a science joke.
But not really, Rob. Not really.
Thomas Logan says, hello, Thomas. I attended a sold out 35 millimeter screening Friday. The print was in great shape considering it's 50 years old. Barely any scratches or dirt. Nobody played with their phones or talked. What movie?
Exorcist, Rob. He has seen The Exorcist.
Oh.
In theaters.
I attended a sold-out 35 mil, of course, because print was in great shape considering it's 50 years old. Barely any scratches or dirt. Nobody played with their phones and talked. Should have won Best Pick and Best Director. Oh, I agree. I didn't realize it. The Exorcist is a masterpiece, and it still works.
I can't wait.
Why? Because of its documentary style. It's total verisimilitude. From that opening scene in Iraq, man, you were fucking locked in. Pod Racing Palpatine says, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Good company and good food in London. The best. Come on, dude. I've never heard anyone say the best food is in London. Elizabeth's daughter Zoe is in Milan right now. Or no, she's back in France. But good food in London, the best. And then £25 on IMAX Indy 5, the worst. Well,
£25.
£25 in IMAX
ticket. Jesus.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. What are you going to do? What can you do? So there you go. We are caught up. We are caught up
nice.
With the Super Chats.
So I would switch over to our letters room.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's one I want to read. I bet you can guess which one I want to read. You can read.
Yeah, the Paramount one. I would think so, Rob.
Yes, that's the one I want to read.
Yeah.
But I'll let you read.
So you read the longer one.
Yeah. So you go.
Rob takes the long.
You go right ahead.
Yeah. Of course, Brian Knight is here. You forgot the Megaforce Thumbkiss. Robert, thank you for referencing 3 of my favorite movies, Sardoso, Megaforce, and Hoopscotch inside 1 minute. He also referenced my favorite quote from Megaforce between Bostwick and Henry Silver. The good guys always win, even in the 80s. Don't forget the pause after win. You left out one thing, you forgot the Megaforce Thumbkiss. This is the mandatory requirement when mentioning this movie. Since I probably have not seen Megaforce, or even it's way too long in the past, I can't remember that.
Yeah, well, you know what? If you've missed Megaforce and you haven't seen it, consider yourself lucky.
Okay.
No, I don't mean to disparage anyone's favorite movie.
One of my other Let's Get Physical media contacts that I have through the show has watched it too over the weekend. He always did send me pics about Megaforce. The next one, strangely enough, not from Brian Knight. It comes from Midnight Runner.
Well,
he says, or is that what you want to read, Rob?
Well, no, I just wanted to point out that Megaforce was part of the movies of 1982, and the TV series 1982, The Greatest Geek Year Ever, is a 4-part documentary series that debuts on the CW network, and it's available on their app beginning next Saturday. It was made by my friends Roger Lay Jr., Scott Mance, and Mark Altman, and it's airing on TV, and I'm in it. So perhaps, maybe somebody talks about Megaforce in that movie.
Will
Just
all 4
saying.
episodes be available at immediately, or will
I don't think so,
1 week?
because it's airing.
weekly.
It's airing every Saturday for 4 weeks in July.
Okay.
But I'm in
Nice.
it, so check it out.
So I should be able, Rob, to get the CV app 2 over VPN something. Then
You might have to do that, yeah.
Okay. Let's check that out. Okay. Midnight Runner is here.
You're out of sync.
And he says, what's happening in out of sync? Am I out of sync?
No, you're in sync now.
Okay. What's happening in Hollywood? Hi, Rob and Dieter. Although I'm not living in the US, I'm very much concerned about what's happening in Hollywood right now, especially Warner Brothers with their latest statement regarding TCM. I feel like people running the film companies today don't give a shit about their movie archives and the cultural legacy they're accountable for. It feels good, though, that the latest developments echo a lot. It seems they have even reached people that are no fanatic film lovers like we are. I hope this is going to trigger a broader wake-up call. If the overlords will notice, I don't know. Question to Rob. Do you think it would be possible to declare the archives of at least important movies to be institutionally protected by, let's say, Library of Congress, Smithsonian, etc.? Because I think there's no way getting the film legacy protected, saved on a monetary capitalistic basis. I'm really curious what George Feldenstein is thinking about all of this. How about calling him once again? Speaking of guests, I suggest 2 other YouTubers to invite for your show. One is Daiseku Beppu from Japan. I think he is the Criterion connoisseur.
He is.
The other one is Spencer, the damn fool idealistic crusader. He does fascinating videos. He's very knowledgeable on film history, especially the classics. All the best, and thanks for the great work, guys, from Midnight Hunter. So regarding keeping the legacy of movies alive, Rob?
Well, I mean, I think, unfortunately, in what he said is exactly right. I mean, all of our corporations, all of our publicly held corporations are beholden to Wall Street, essentially. And you've got our investment companies like BlackRock and Vanguard that own. I mean, they're sometimes the investment companies are more powerful than the boards of directors of these companies themselves. But everybody wants growth and profit. And the problem is, like, this is the way I see it. So you have, as I've said, that pop culture has a 20-year half-life, which means that the value of older movies diminishes as the years go by. It's not like a painting that appreciates in value because you can buy it and own it. But a movie is just, a movie. And the problem is movies are of the time in which they're made. They reflect modern social mores and modern concerns and modern styles and fashion, whatever. So as history marches on, movies become less and less relevant because they're more immediate. Period pieces, less so, I guess. But the problem is, you can judge all Wall Street is ever going to do is judge a product, and that's what a movie is. It's a product, on how well it does with a consumer. And as the years go by, on streaming services especially, they can look and go, who's watching what? And this next letter will play into that as well. And the thing is, if no one's watching a movie, and it has no value, Wall Street is going to be the last people that are going to, well, then we have to save it for its cultural, we're going to spend money to save it for its cultural relevance. They're never going to do that. They're never going to save something. That's where the government should step in, and that's where people, patrons of the arts, should step in. And that's where museums and the Museum of the Moving Image and there are places, there are repositories that will save our cinematic legacy. But in terms of how does Warner Archive benefit Warner Brothers? Is Warner Archive making money? And right now it is. Thank God George Feltenstein and the boys at Warner Brothers are making money. But when you're looking purely at analytics, if people aren't watching something, they'll pull it. And they'll deem that it has no value because it only has value if it's driving profits. And unfortunately, if that's the only way you look, human society is not only about that. You have to start thinking we need to start quantifying quality of life issues, not just in terms of medicine, but in terms of what makes human life worth living. Are we just here to exist? Are we just here to consume and make money? I don't think so, because I think being good consumers means that we are thriving in every other area. We can only be good consumers if we're making money, and we can only be making money if we're good at our jobs and we're intelligent enough to be working in fields where we are being productive members. I mean, to me, it's all a continuum. It all works together. But when you're thinking about profits, that's all that matters. But in the long run, I would say that if you have people that are made happy or healthy or inspired by watching an old movie, you never know where inspiration to innovate a product, create something new, you never know where that's going to happen. And I would say human beings live in a continuum, and art especially, whether they're old movies or not, or whether they're paintings or whether they're dance recitals or symphonies, you never know. All of that inspires people to create and innovate. You never know what the perfect concoction of whatever it is that people see that makes somebody go, oh my God, well, I could do this, because they watched All About Eve, or they watched The Lady Eve, or they watched Queen Christina, with Marlene Dietrich. You never know. And so if we're not going to create a culture that has rich artistic input for people, who knows, maybe the person that was going to come up with the next big money-making idea, if they don't see a certain old movie, they won't get that inspiration. But there's no way to quantify that. There's no way to tell Wall Street, well, how can we even begin to start thinking that way if we don't know how that works? And so, unfortunately, right now, if there's no demonstrable profit, it's going to go away. And that's the danger, I think.
Even newer products go away, Rob. Which
as our next letter, as our next letter will ask. And hang on, I want to keep this just a second.
Yeah.
I've got to, let me get. I had our next letter and I made it go away. So this next letter is quite interesting. This next letter comes from James. And James says, has Paramount opened themselves up to a lawsuit over Star Trek Prodigy? Do you remember that Ana de Armas lawsuit where customers sued a studio because she was in the trailer but completely cut out from the finished film? And the lawsuit was over false advertising, claiming the only reason they spent money to see this film was for her. And that, by the way, that was for Danny Boyle's movie Yesterday. This is a true story about the Beatles movie, yeah. And were led to believe from the trailer she would be in it. They won the case. I seem to remember in the discussions about this verdict, studios were nervous because it opens the door for them to have lawsuits brought against them if things promoted a certain way don't pan out. Did Paramount just open to themselves up to a lawsuit like this over pulling Star Trek Prodigy from Paramount Plus? Just last year, Paramount Plus was promoted as the home of every Star Trek movie, every series, and every episode. I wonder if someone can try and sue Paramount over this. With them pulling Star Trek Prodigy completely off their service, this now makes the above false advertising. Not because they aren't going forward with a Season 2, but because they've removed Season 1 from the service. If someone is paying for Paramount Plus because it has every Star Trek series with every episode, and now that's no longer true, I'm no legal expert, but I wonder if people could go after them now. A way Paramount could get around this idea is if they had kept season 1 on Paramount Plus, and if another studio or streamer picks up the show. They would have the rights to also air or stream season 1 and an exclusive period for season 2 after it airs, maybe for a year. Then after that period, the new home would still be able to keep season 2, but Paramount would also be able to have season 2 on Paramount Plus following that exhaustive period. A part of me would love to see the fans bring a lawsuit against Paramount just to give these studios a headache for this pulling content BS for tax write-downs and to avoid paying residuals that David Zaslav started at Warner Brothers and now other studios are copying. To connect this to physical media, it's great hearing the Star Trek Prodigy Season 1, Volume 1 disc is selling out everywhere on Blu-ray and DVD, showing why physical media is so important in a situation like this with streamers. The only downside on this specific case is only half the season was released. We still need a Season 1, Volume 2 to be released, and I don't know if we will get it. That comes from James. Obviously,
just quick, Rob. What I didn't even know, Rob, there was even a Star Trek Prodigy video game is out that I saw.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Star Trek Prodigy video game for the Xbox, for the PS5. There's even a video game out.
Oh, I think it's Star Trek Resurgence. If that's
Okay.
the new, could be. I don't know. And there's toys as well.
Oh, it was a Prodigy. It was Star Trek Prodigy.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I mean, it's really interesting. This is something new. I mean, basically, TV shows have been canceled since the beginning of television, if nobody was watching them. And that's pretty much what this is. The shows didn't have enough viewership to justify their existence, and so they've been canceled. And you could probably argue that Star Trek Prodigy is considered a failed show. It was canceled. The other Star Trek shows ended their runs. They weren't canceled necessarily. I mean, a show had to last a certain amount of time to get in syndication. I don't know. Maybe that's a weak argument. But no, this is a very real thing. But all these, you think that Paramount is not going to sell Prodigy to like Tubi or something? It'll come back. But Paramount Plus is saying this is the home of all Star Trek. And the animated series only ran 22 episodes. So you could make over 2 seasons. But because Star Trek Prodigy is new, and they do owe money to the creators, and they're trying to cut costs, they could probably make the claim, oh, we'll bring it back someday when we're not in debt billions of dollars. Because I think that the difference is that Yesterday was a movie that came out, they promoted the film, and it didn't have Ana de Armas, even though they were pushing. And I think the argument in the trailer. And the argument, I mean, I don't know why they lost that argument, but and I think it started out as a joke lawsuit, but I understand where they're coming from. The problem is they did release the Ana de Armas scene on home video. So you could get that scene if you wanted it. So it's because the trailer didn't necessarily promise. You could say that the trailer also promised the home video release or whatever. I don't know, but they lost that case. I think, though, that, I mean, maybe you could make that lawsuit. I don't know if anyone's going to ever pay it. They'll appeal it. I don't know if you want to have the money to do it, but maybe. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if someone's not watching a TV show and it gets canceled, what do you do with that show? I mean, I'd like to get The Fantastic Journey, a science fiction TV series that didn't finish its run, but no one's ever going to release that on home video. I mean, somebody should go in and release, like they should do or put all these failed shows or these shows like Otherworld and Fantastic Journey and Automan and Manimal and Korg and Lucan and all these TV shows that didn't, I mean, and put them all out. I don't know if they ever would, but that's a good question. I just think that this is the world we live in. Again, these shows that are being canceled on Paramount Plus or Warner Brothers is exactly what I'm talking about. It's the analytics. They have to make money. It's all driven by Wall Street and profit and stockholders and all that. Everybody wants their profits. And when you have large, powerful companies like BlackRock or Vanguard telling you what you should do, you have to listen to them. I mean, BlackRock is kind of the shadow government of planet Earth. They're even involved with China. And thank God they're American-based, even though they're leader's last name is Fink.
Oh.
I don't know what that means, but yeah, I think that if no one's watching it, they're going to pull the shows.
Yeah.
As much as I might not want them to, but they're going to.
Okay.
I don't know if you could sue them, though. You'd have to have the money.
Yeah. Especially, some legal stuff considering Star Trek and Paramount.
More than I'd like.
Some legal history there. Just saying.
Got to bring that up. Harsh my Sunday mellow.
So, should I go into my last haul, Rob? Physical media?
Why, yes, you should.
Just quick. I watched the John Wick disc, Rob, just as with Avatar. This great disc just looks insane. So I have just fun. Considering John Wick 4, I have just fun watching the movie, how it looks from the style. So great disc. It should be in everyone's archive. And on Friday, Rob, I finished Silo on Apple TV Plus.
What did you think?
Great show for me. I was totally in it after the first episode. I waited on Apple till some episodes got together, and that's a little bit of a plus considering Apple TV Plus. The show doesn't get the promotion, or they're not that don't get talked about like other shows. So I'm always going in with zero spoilers. I don't stumble across spoilers on YouTube or anywhere else. So I can easily wait till I get some episodes together and can more binge it, which I prefer. But I totally love the show. Great cliffhanger ending.
Yep.
But it probably will take some time for getting the second season, because I don't know if they have scripts ready to go. Probably not. But since it's Apple, I have no concern that it will not be continued. It will surely get a second season. But even if it weren't, I actually could live with the ending.
Yeah. Because that's all you really need to know.
Yeah. But for me, great series. So the other stuff that I got this week, Rob, we always talk about streaming stuff getting released on physical media. I have not seen this show. This is a show on Netflix, but I bought it on Blu-ray because it says here this is a little bit of a longer version of the series. It's a Polish series, Furiosa.
Ooh.
It's called. It says I switched it out because you could switch it out, but here it says it is an extended miniseries, so it should be a little bit longer.
And that's Polish?
That is actually so it should be a little bit longer than it is available on Netflix, but I've never seen it. Furiosa. Then the next one, actually not really my cup of tea, considering the DC animated movies. This is the French steelbook for the Doom that came to Gotham. Strangely, we got the French title, which normally the steelbooks are everywhere the same. So I was strangely getting the French title on the steelbook. But for me, this was a little bit too supernatural, considering the story that is inside. But this is a 4K steelbooks, so it comes with the 4K of the movie and the Blu-ray. The Doom that came to Gotham. Something older, haven't seen it, from, let me just see, Eureka, Samurai Reincarnation.
All right.
Which comes with a reversible cover artwork. Rob, the movie is from, let me just see, from 1981.
Wow.
So, no idea, but this looks pretty cool here. So we have a bit of a booklet. So an old cat in the back from Eureka. And Rob, as told you, I saved money on Indy 5, but it doesn't hold me back to buy trash movies, which were not that particularly good. But how could I say no to that cover, Rob? Shark
Dude,
Escape.
come on. You should say no to that cover. I mean, I understand an Asian girl with boobs. I'm all. Is that an Asian girl with boobs? Is that an Asian movie?
Yeah, exactly, Rob. It is a Chinese movie, and let me just check.
You should say no.
Strangely
Just
enough-
as much as I love Asian girls with boobs, you just got to say no. You got to say no to that.
Strangely enough, let me just see. I have the picture from the IMDb.
And yes, I know
here.
all Asian girls have boobs. That's the point I'm making.
It's strangely the original title is Escape of Shark. Rob, is that even correct English? Escape of Shark?
Well, that's probably, it depends what country you're, and other countries
Okay.
organize their sentences differently. So that would be the direct translation, which is wrong. You'd have to change it.
For me, it sounds strange. Escape of Shark as original title. So here it's just Shark Escape. The good thing, Rob, it's only 67 minutes long.
Dude, come on, man. Is there nudity? At least is there nude Asian girls with boobs that get eaten by sharks? Because
No.
I'd watch that.
I love the setting, but even the setting is not new. We have a hotel that's get flooded by a tsunami, But the problem is the location, the hotel rooms or the lobby is just very small. It's a studio set, but it's way too small that you could believe a big shark could even fit into that. Into the.
Wait a minute. You bought a movie called Shark Attack, and you're now worried about the Shark Escape,
Yeah.
and you're worried about the verisimilitude of the hotel
little
rooms
bit,
that are
Rob. At
flooded
least
in a
give me-
tsunami.
gi-
That that's why I watch this show. I watch this show for these comments.
At least give me a little bit. It should have been, a Las Vegas lobby from a casino, something like that. And okay, the CGI. Let's not talk about it. 2.5 out of 10, Rob, for Shark Escape, and I put it aside. Never talk about it again. The next one, quite enjoyable. It was a Stephen Lang weekend for me, considering I watched Avatar. We have Water in 3D, and I bought Old Man, directed by Lucky McGee, who did the Woman trilogy, and May, which comes out from, I believe, second side. Really nice movie, a little bit of, I would say, almost like a stage play. And really had a good time, considering Stephen Lang plays the main protagonist, and he is one that demands your attention, The twist at the end is not really new or anything that would shock you, but nevertheless, I had a good time. This is the German media book of it, from Play On Rob, ex-Koch Media. So we got a 4K, and it even has a 10-minute little bit behind the scenes and the Blu-ray. So the middle part is not that many pictures, so just a little bit red here. So Old Man with Stephen Lang. And of course, the great one. Let's get to the giveaway. I got this one, Mad Heidi, as a media book. So this is my cover. This is the other one, and mine I have already opened. It comes as a limited edition because I had a great time with the movie. Even Chris Gore praised the movie, and Chris Gore will have on the film thread at some point Alice Lucy and Caspar Van Dien as a guest to interview them about Mad Heidi, which was done on a Kickstarter campaign. And let's get the show demonetized, Rob. Not with that, Rob. Not especially with that. Here we got our Mad Heidi. The media book is great from the pictures. It even features the old Heidi animation series that was very big in my childhood. I don't know what Phenomena does here. I haven't read it. The middle part is fold out for our Mad Heidi. Here we have such nice things as this, Rob. All the stuff we like. Caspar Van Dien as the president. We can't have those lactose intolerant people. We have to eradicate them. The media book comes with the movie in 4K as a Blu-ray, and it comes with the soundtrack too.
Wow.
So you get 3 discs with that media book. But like I said, the caveat, the Blu-ray in the set is Region B. I tested it. Unfortunately, it's just Region B.
Yeah, but everybody that watches this show should have a multi-region player. They all have I know that everybody who watches this show has a multi-region player.
But if you are 4K ready, then the 4K should be. I can test that, but I probably would say pretty definitively the 4K is Region 3, and it has the extras on the 4K too, which actually features an audio commentary from with Casper Van Dien and Alice Lucy. So I give this one away, and you just have to answer 1 question. I keep an eye on the live chat, but I would say after a minute and 2, if I don't get the right answer, Rob can snatch it away. I will give him the chance to that. Okay?
Okay.
So the question is pretty easy. Name the genre of the movie. But I'm looking for a specific.
The genre of Mad Heidi.
Movie. The genre of Mad Heidi.
What is it?
I keep an eye on the live chat, and we will see if somebody knows what kind of genre Mad Heidi is. If anybody is even interested in getting a great trash masterpiece, which has an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes and 90 even on audience score.
Yeah. And you know that
There we have it. Adventure Square, you got it. Swissploitation is the correct answer. You win it, Adventure Square.
Swissploitation. So Adventure Square.
Swissploitation, exactly, Rob. And it is the first Swissploitation movie. The first.
And it's based on the actual Heidi, the Swiss character Heidi. So I guess get your address, Adventure Square, get Tom Jr. Jackson. Yeah. Uh-oh, he says he stole it from somebody. He stole his answer, dude. He stole his answer.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. He was the first one for me in the chat. That's all I wanted to hear. So Adventure Square, you should get. If you're on Instagram, you can email me directly with your address, and you will get Mad Heidi as this media book, which is already sold out, of course. But Rob, don't be too sad. You get something too. You get a T-shirt, and actually, I got it too, Rob. The idea came actually from our
Adventure Square gets a disc, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
Yeah, exactly, Rob. But I got the same too, because the idea came actually from Lana, Rob. Lana Yoon reviews on the Burnettwork, and she actually didn't give me her address, so I thought, okay, I get the 2 shirts for us two guys, Rob. I got this as a Schnäppchen, Rob. You know?
Wow! I can't wait to get that.
So you at least get a T-shirt. This is mine. Yours is packaged here on the side.
You better put all my discs in it. Where's my Phantasm 4K, buddy?
Yeah. I know the Phantasm. I know. Get me Phantom of the Opera. Get me Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. I know.
Come on. And Lana Ewan has another review coming today.
Nice.
She's going to review The Flash, and I can't wait to see what she has to say.
Finally, a new one.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Wait just a moment. Bill Barkley said it first. Am I really wrong? Here?
Did Bill? He says he stole it from Bill Barkley.
I haven't seen Bill here.
It's who said it after you said it. But Adventure Square does say he stole it. He stole it from Bill. Yeah, I mean, even Adventure Square admits he stole it from Bill. But Bill Barkley said Swissploitation before you asked the question. I don't know, man. You're going to have to do a judge's ruling on this one.
I'm just going through the chat, Rob. But then, I don't see.
But then Bill Barkley said...
Yes, Bill. Sorry. Here it is. Yeah. Here it is. Yes, Bill. You win it. Sorry, Adventure Square. Correct. Bill was the first one.
Wow, you just totally ruined it. But Adventure Square does admit he stole it.
Yeah.
So
I thought I just looked it up on Google. That's what I was thinking of. That he meant he Googled it. What the genre is. Yes, Bill. Now I see it. I don't know why I didn't pick that up. So, Bill, you win it. Reach out to me on Insta or over Tom, so I can get your address. But I hope you want the great trash masterpiece that is Mad Heidi, which was done on a Kickstarter campaign. So this was my haul from this week, Rob.
Well, there you go. I'm glad. We've got a few more super chats that came in.
Yeah.
Marcus Bisma says, I saw Altered States on 1080. Where's the 4K? I don't know. Jordan Cronenweth shot that movie. That movie would look on 4K. Give me a 4K Dolby. You know what the problem is? When Altered States came out, it was a huge deal. Like, I couldn't wait to see it. I want to say it was my birthday movie in 1980.
Yeah.
I think, or no, because Friday the 13th was my birthday movie. But Altered States was around then. But I love Altered States. It's classic sci-fi. I have the Warner Brothers disc. But why isn't that in 4K? I don't know. Warner Brothers, I have this idea that, and Mike Bond and I have this idea. I want to pitch it. To Warner Brothers about involving all of their genre titles, which they should do. But I don't know. I don't know where the 4K is, Marcus, but I want it badly. Alex Donovan's been a member.
I have to intersect again. Bill Barclay says, give it to that other person. So we are back. Adventure Square. You get it. If Bill Barclay doesn't want the Mad Heidi media book, so Adventure Square, reach out to Tom Jr. Jackson or to me directly over Instagram. So you get it. If Bill doesn't want great movie in his collection, okay, Adventure Square, you get it.
Well,
so I was right at the first take.
Bill Barclay doesn't mind. Well, thanks, Bill. That's very nice of you.
Thanks, Bill. So Adventure Square, you get it. Mad Heidi.
There you go. Mad Heidi coming all the way from Saarbrücken, Deutschland.
Yeah.
Alex Donovan's been a member for 6 months. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate your patronage. Tom Jr. Jackson says, are you doing a Midnight Metal tonight? Probably. I'm going to talk about a book. But yeah, I want to do a Midnight Metal because I haven't done one in a while just to have fun. Thomas Logan says, Rob and Dietz, describe your first encounter with The Exorcist. Was it VHS? Was it TV? How hard did it hit then? And does it still hit you as hard? Also, favorite scene and character. Oh, I know exactly when I first saw The Exorcist. I saw The Exorcist in May of 1980. I had got my VCR for my bar mitzvah, my RCA VFT 625 VHS player. And my first visit to the video store, video space that I later worked at, I rented 5 movies. And one of them was The Exorcist. And I saved The Exorcist. And I saved The Exorcist for midnight because I'd never seen it. My parents wouldn't let me go see it because I heard the radio ads when I was like 6 and stuff. And so my parents they're like, there's no way we're taking you to The Exorcist. So The Exorcist to me was, at the time, in May of 1980, one of the movies that I most wanted to see. And to be able to get it on home video, the R-rated version on home video, was like the greatest thing in the world. So I saved it, and I just turned 13. So I was 13 years old. I had The Exorcist. I put it on. I did not make it past the Iraq scene. I was too scared. The tone of the movie, the dogs fighting, the sound, the dog and the barking dogs, and seeing Father Merrin confronting the statue of Pazuzu. Man, I was so freaked out. I was out. I'm like, there's no fucking way. I was so terrified. The opening 10 minutes in Iraq, like nothing has even happened. It's just the tone. Like, I don't think I had ever as a kid seen a horror film with the verisimilitude of that and the actual tone of it. Like, I knew there was some evil shit going on. Like, this was not a Universal monster movie. So the tone of it, I turned it off. I went to bed. I was so freaked out. And then I got up and I like waited till 1 PM, and then I watched it. And at 13 in 1980, there was shit in that movie that I could not believe I was watching. Because I'd never seen I had no access. All I'd ever seen is movies in the theater. So I'd not seen rape revenge movies. I'd not seen Last House on the Left. I'd not seen The Hills Have Eyes. I'd not seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'd not seen the transgressive horror of the 70s. And I had certainly never seen anything like The Exorcist. And I watched The Exorcist in our little family room where the VCR was kind of my TV room, where it was kind of my room. Nobody came in anyway, even though unless my mom was doing laundry. I was looking over my shoulder the whole time. When it got to the scene where Reagan McNeil is jamming the crucifix between her legs, saying, "Let Jesus fuck you," I was like, I'm like, I'm gonna get thrown in my room. It was the most, at the time, it was the most transgressive thing I had ever seen. Even though I'd read horror novels that had equally worse stuff, but to me, even though I'd read like really hardcore, sexually explicit horror novels, reading was different than seeing. I hadn't seen a porno movie at this time in my life. And the movie was to me, it was so powerful, the way it was done, it freaked me out. My favorite character, I love Damien Karras. I still love Damien Karras in the movie. You know, why you leave me, Damien? I love Lieutenant Kinderman, but I think that my favorite scene in the movie is when Chris McNeil, because the scene when she's masturbating with the crucifix is in broad daylight, and when her mother comes into the room and sees it happening. I mean, it was one of those scenes in a movie where I was literally blown back in my seat just out of sheer like, I can't believe what I'm seeing, and then the big chest of drawers gets the power. The devil slams, locks her in with the door with the thing flying against. That scene to me was one of the most incredible things I'd ever seen as a 13-year-old. That scene in the room, that was beyond the pale. I couldn't believe what I was watching. So. I think the movie has the power. If you want to watch, one of my favorite reaction videos to watch is like teenage girls watching The Exorcist for the first time, because all of them that scene freaks all of them out. It's fantastic.
I have seen it on VHS first, but I can't remember when or where, or if it back in the day, Rob, was a copy of a copy of a copy. And for me, at first, I don't remember how old I was. I thought, what is this boring shit at the beginning? You have this two separate storylines. What is happening here? But later in the movie, I was pretty quiet and did say nothing anymore. Was shocked. To this day, it's one of my favorites too. And for me, one of the most iconic images is actually, when she's on the bed and the shadow from behind, the light.
Oh yeah, that's a great shot.
Yeah.
Great
movie.
sound.
Yeah. Great movie. Can't wait to get it in 4K.
No, it's
but we have to answer the question: theatrical version or
theatrical. I'll tell you why. Because the spider walk sequence, there's a reason why it was cut out. Because it's just not very convincing. There's a wire rig clearly holding the girl up, and I know that William Peter Blatty did not like the very ending of the theatrical version and wanted to soften it up, so they added the extra exchange at the end. I get why. William Friedkin did that for William Peter Blatty and to make some more money. But to me, theatrical version all the way, 100%. There's no contest. The theatrical version.
But I think we will get both, Rob.
Yeah, we're getting both. The 4K version will give you both, which is great. But I never watched the. I never. I mean, I have.
Isn't even called a director's cut, Rob? Is the spider?
I think it's called The Exorcist, the version you've never seen before.
Okay.
But it's not. It's still just The Exorcist. That's just more of a marketing thing. But yeah, I still think that the film hits hard because of the style. I mean, and what's really interesting about the film is, in a way, it's kind of timeless because of it uses that 70s film stock, and it's kind of set. It's wintry. It looks like the whole movie takes place in the cold, other than the Iraq stuff. So even though it's
like you said, the documentary style, and she did everything medically, with the kid, having her MRT done and what you can do medically. So it really was great.
Yeah.
And it was the template for all possession movies,
Oh yeah, and they never and the thing is, it's the reason that movie works as well as it does. And if you go back and you watch people seeing it coming out of the theater, there's some videos where you can see if people actually is because of the tone. It shows how important tone is to horror.
Yeah.
Because the way it's done, the fact that they use daylight, the fact that it is in a house, the fact that it's very naturalistically shot, it makes you believe that what you're watching is real. And it's and yes, now some of the effects are a little dated, but it's still
But the makeup still is great.
Still great, and it's so blasphemous still. I mean, it's surprising how blasphemous that movie actually is. And it gets away with it. And that's why it works. Hitchhiker 42 says, hi all, is The Abyss being delayed to get Ed Harris to do a commentary and retrospective interview? I'll think we'd be waiting a long time.
Nice.
Well, look, one of my favorite documentaries on the making of a movie, one of my favorite special features ever is Under Pressure, Making the Abyss. That documentary, I don't think they're going to, I mean, they might allow that documentary to be put on a 4K version, but that documentary is pretty hardcore, and it gets into the whole Ed Harris thing. Ed Harris flat out says, I thought I was going to die. And I'm surprised, every time I watch that documentary.
I survived the episode t-shirts.
Yeah, the life's abuse and then you dive. It's that documentary is incredible. And I love that I think it's on YouTube. If you want to watch a great documentary, it's just called Under Pressure, Making the Abyss, and they get into it.
The old DVD set, of course.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that's been released. I really hope they put that out in 4K, and they better do both versions. Because, I mean, I understand, but there is a film print. They did make a print of the director's cut of The Abyss, so I hope they can finish it in 4K. And maybe clean up the effects a little bit. Dangerously says, Rob and Dietz, have you guys seen the Hot Toys reveal Sasha Callie or Kaye? Callie?
A little bit disappointing, unfortunately.
Well, here's the thing. The head sculpt is a prototype. They did that quick. They got it out quick. You say that
now, Rob. You say that now.
Don't worry. Hot Toys will fix it. The rest of that figure looks great. Yeah. I got my Barbie, dude. I got my Barbie.
Okay. It's right here.
I got my Supergirl Barbie.
Yeah.
I love this version of Supergirl. She was great.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Change the head sculpt, Hot Toys.
It's going to. Don't worry, they'll change the Hot Toy.
Yeah.
Anthony says, Rob, the 1988 sexual horror film Unholy, starring Nicole Fortier, did the same thing to me The Exorcist did to you. It scared the shit out of me. The Unholy starring Ben Cross, that Unholy, or was it a different Unholy? Let me see. I don't know if we're talking about the same movie. Yeah, it is Ben Cross. That movie, The Unholy, had its ending reshot. I actually did an article about that movie, and my late friend Dan Ireland was the executive producer of that movie. It's pretty interesting. The Unholy is pretty interesting. It's about a priest who's battling a demon who kills like bad people. It kills sinners, and it's a good. I haven't seen it. I saw it once. I don't remember how scary it is, but I like hearing that was your version of The Exorcist. That's cool.
Nice.
I like that too. It's good. So Anthony, a good choice, sir. I'll take that. I'll take it. So where are we at now? News? Is it time for news?
Yeah. Hit us the news.
All right. First of all, there's some good news. We got some 4Ks. Kino Lorber I have to move. I forgot about this. I have to scooch you so I can. Let me scooch you over. Scooch Dietz over.
Blown Away.
So there you go. Blown Away is coming out Kino Lorber in 4K. That's always a good thing. So that's cool. And then we've got Arrow. Arrow coming in hot. They're putting out Carlito's Way in 4K. God, I like this movie a lot, actually. I will definitely buy this. Yeah.
Cool cover artwork. This is, I believe, the special cover artwork. They have 2.
Yeah, I'll get that. They're also putting out in 4K Blood and Black Lace. Another great horror title. Look at that cover. That's another great Italian horror cover. Go for Mario Bava's Blood and Black Lace. They're also putting out in 4K The Ring, the original The Ring, Ringu, which is very, very cool. And then, of course, and there's a lot of people butthurt about this cover, but they're putting out the Psycho collection in 4K. Now, I already have Psycho in 4K, but Psycho 2, 3, and 4 in 4K. Very exciting. People have been complaining about this cover. And I'm like,
okay.
I think this cover's great because you're inside the shower. You're Janet Leigh. You're seeing this from Janet Leigh's perspective before the shower curtain opens. I don't know what people are bitching and moaning about. Come on, man. But, of course, people just want to bitch and moan about everything. I love this cover. I think this cover's great.
Perhaps they make 2 artworks?
Probably.
From this 2?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then Arrow's releasing this, The Prodigal Son, a Sammo Hung movie. I love that everyone's leaning into these Asian films because, you know, they're moving on because we got so few Asian films like this in the West and nice additions. So between 88 films, Arrow, and everyone else, 101 films, anyone's putting out these Asian titles is great. It's great. So they're putting out this. Then Arrow's putting out something that I've never seen, but it's Jean-Paul Belmondo and Alain Delon are in this, and I don't know anything about this movie, but this is a very cool set, very, very cool set, and Borsalino is the name of this movie, and I would imagine, you know, looking at this, as you can see, it's a gangster movie, and what a cast! I'll watch anything that has this cast in it. Haven't seen it, definitely going to buy this. So Arrow 4 for 4 for me on this one. And then, of course, now this movie just opened, and I think it's Nick Cassavetes who directed it. God is a Bullet, starring Nikolai Coster, our favorite Lannister.
Nice.
Now everyone is telling me that this movie is hardcore. I'm hearing the same way that a movie like Green Room is hardcore. This open.
Yeah.
I've heard this movie. Everyone who's seen this movie, and it's not, to be honest, not many. Everyone is saying, I gotta see this, I gotta get this, that God is a Bullet fucking rules. And I will definitely, I gotta get this, but they're only releasing this on Blu-ray. XYZ Films put this out. Apparently this movie is great. So I haven't seen it, but I heard it's great. Can't wait to see it. I will definitely buy this. And God is a...
But it was the theatrical release already?
Mm-hmm. It opened last weekend.
June. Okay. God is a Bullet. Okay. Nice.
So that's cool. That's coming out. Buy that. They're releasing the second Zorro movie, The Legend of Zorro, coming out in 4K. I like the first movie. I don't like this movie as much, but it's good.
Fading a little bit on the memory on the second one.
Yeah, I know. But hey, I'll get it because I like these movies. And Catherine Zeta-Jones, why not?
But I remember it being decent enough.
Yeah. And then we got coming out Imprint. Now, here's the thing. We got a couple of people releasing Cross of Iron. There's a Steelbook. Yeah. But I got to say, I'm a sucker for Imprint. Now, I don't know if this is coming out for... I don't know if it's 4K or not. Maybe it is 4K.
It is 4K, Rob. And as far as I know, the third disc is some German theatrical print, a little bit grindhouse style. That is on the third disc. So you've got the 4K, you've got the Blu-ray, and then a third one with some kind of grindhouse print.
I gotta get this.
With the bonus.
I gotta call Kelvin. But I gotta order this.
But it's a little bit expensive for me. I will just go with the normal steelbook, which comes, as I believe, with 3 discs too. So I would think they are identical.
I just love Imprint's boxes. I just like their boxes. Yeah. I mean, these kind of boxes trump steelbooks for me.
But you have to get on it, Rob. It's limited.
I know. I got to get that. I got to get it. Yeah. Maybe I'll just call Kelvin. Kelvin, I got to get this. I'll try and order it myself, though. Then they've got a George Papard box set coming out. You know, everyone loves George. It's so weird. Imprint and they're weird. There are these new weird box sets of things they're putting out. I haven't even seen any of these movies, but they're George Papard movies. PJ, Pendulum with Gene Seberg, Executioner, and the final one is Newman's Law. I don't know these movies. Most cops play it by the book. Newman wrote his own. Dun dun dun. And you know, I love these like things that Imprint's putting out. And hey, why not? I haven't seen any of these movies. I like George Papard because, of course, everyone remembers his turn as cowboy in Battle Beyond the Stars. But I'm a huge George Papard fan, so why not? Now, here's another disc, a movie that I dearly, dearly love that Imprint is putting out, and that's, of course, Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. And with another film in here as well. And I'm not even sure what this other film is, to be honest.
Oh, a second one. Okay.
A second one is it a different movie? The Ballad of the Passion Poetry. So it's a Sam Peckinpah documentary. So Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia and Cross of Iron. So that's cool. And again,
Double order.
Got a cool box. Got to buy this. Go Imprint. And they do, while it takes a while to get their discs, if you do order from them in Australia, they do a good job of packaging the discs. Kind of like Vinegar Syndrome. They do a good job. So I recommend buying from them. Then we've got The Martian Chronicles coming from Imprint. Now, this is bad. The Martian Chronicles is bad. But I'm going to buy it anyway because it's the only adaptation of The Martian Chronicles we have, and Rock Hudson's in it, and it's got a lenticular hard slipcase. So I'm going to buy this. It's not great, but I'm buying it.
So the third one from Imprint in the basket.
That's right. So go Imprint. Going to spend some money in Australia. Then we got, of course, in 3D, another movie that is hideously terrible. It's the 70th anniversary, but Robot Monster is in 3D. They basically got an ape suit and put a helmet on it, and he's the Robot Monster. This is a bad 50s science fiction movie that I'm going to buy it just because it's in 3D.
I think Bill Hunt on Digital Bits, there's a review on the Digital Bits.
Oh, he does?
For Robot Monster. I think.
It's god-awful.
I think they have a review for Robot Monster on the Digital Bits.
Shout Factory is putting out Team America, World Police.
Fuck yeah!
America, fuck yeah. And, of course, let's get a montage. Can we get a montage? I mean, I'll probably get this because new transfer.
Me too.
You know, come on. This movie fucking rules. Who doesn't love this movie?
Yeah.
And
the
now,
cinematographer from The Matrix, you know?
I know, right? It's true. Bill Pope?
Yeah, exactly.
Bill Pope. And then we've got Vinegar Syndrome coming in hot, too. Releasing Gorgo in 4K. Gorgo. You got to love that. And then they got some great horror titles coming. You've got Terror at 10 Killer, which I've not seen, but that cover alone, I'll just buy it for that cover alone. I want to meet that girl. I guess I can't because she's dead now because she met Terror at 10 Killer. So that girl's no longer here, and this was made in the 80s. She doesn't look like that anyway. But here you go. That's also in 4K. I mean, you know, it's like if Vinegar Syndrome's putting something out in 4K, I'm going to buy it. It's pretty much that's it. That's all I need to know. They're putting that out. They're also putting out Delirium, which is a movie I actually like. I like this movie. Pretty interesting. I'll probably pick this up. Another great cover from Vinegar Syndrome. They have a good choice in their Italian horror and all that stuff. Here's another movie I know nothing about, Psycho Girls, which describes my love life pretty much. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just making a joke. That's not true. It's not true. I'm just making a joke. But another great. I love how Vinegar Syndrome leans into this artwork. Just support Vinegar Syndrome because I love Vinegar Syndrome. I will love them eternally since they put out Liquid Sky. So love Vinegar Syndrome. Just love them for me. Tell them I sent you. And here we've got a 3-disc special edition from Severin, not Vinegar Syndrome, but along the same lines. Nightmare, the never-before-seen restored version of Nightmare. Another Romano. Oh, I forgot something about Vinegar Syndrome, but I'll get back to that.
Yeah.
So here you go. Brand new feature documentary, Damage, the very British obscenity of David Hamilton Grant, and 4 rare David Hamilton Grant productions. So come on. Everything, again, Severin is like Vinegar Syndrome. You just buy everything they put out because they do such a good job, and why not? Why not have them in your collection? And they deliver blood, gore, sex. I guess blood and gore are the same,
It
right? But
says here web store exclusive slipcover.
yeah, there you go. So buy that because you'll love it. Now, another thing that Vinegar Syndrome is putting out that is not a movie, but it's movie related, is they're jumping into publishing.
Jesus.
So they're jumping into publishing. They're publishing a 4-issue comic of Lucio Fulci's Zombie. Let me get closer into this. Now, this is what's really cool about this is I'll tell you, there's a vague connection to me, and why not make it about myself whenever I can? So this comic is written by Stephen Romano, and Stephen Romano made a coffee table book of a bunch of exploitation movies. He made one-sheets and of movies that don't actually exist. And I forgot to put the Demon Rat on Vinegar Syndrome Archive. So this is, now let me read you this because it sounds badass. Subscribers, Vinegar Syndrome is thrilled to announce the much anticipated launch of Vinegar Syndrome Publishing. Our inaugural release of the Iban Press comic book series of Lucio Fulci's Zombies is hot off the press. Zombie is hot off the press. This amazing 4-issue hard case collection of Zombie is beautifully packaged with mind-blowing artwork and stuffed with extras. This is our first production of an endless pipeline of exciting projects already in development, including comic books, graphic novels, and novelizations adapted from your favorite Vinegar Syndrome films. I wonder if they're going to be novelizing the Taboo series. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding about that. We will also be featuring original stories, art books, and merchandise culled from the twisted minds of some of our most talented authors and artists. This hard case collection is available for purchase with or without a special zombie-themed Vinegar Syndrome publishing shirt. Select your size from the drop-down menu. The definitive, complete presentation of the critically acclaimed comic series adaptation, so it is an adaptation of Lucio Fulci's classic horror film in comic form, from acclaimed author Stephen Romano and illustrator Mike Broom. Both Stephen Romano and Mike Broom worked on our film The Hills Run Red. Just want to tell you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I was waiting for the connection, Rob. You told me there's a connection with
there's a connection. So there's a connection with The Hills Run Red. I'm just I'm telling you that. So really cool, very exciting, and I think this is cool. And Stephen Romano, and why can't I find the name of his book?
Yeah.
Hang on. Let me find. Why am I drawing a blank? Somebody in the chat must know.
Yeah.
I just don't know why I can't remember. But it's an art book with and Stephen Romano. We use those posters in The Hills Run Red as well.
Yeah.
So this is the first Iban Press hard case collection containing the original sold-out 4 issues. The super deluxe 2-part interlocking collector's case features Mike Broom's definitive signed-in-blood zombie poster, painting, and plenty of newly commissioned artwork. The comic issues themselves contain over 50 pages of never-before-seen and newly created bonus content, including story pages, art articles, memorial tributes, and more. Each issue comes encased in an exclusive Iban sleeve jacket and is packed with extras, and there are only 1,500 units made. So there you go, people. There you go. Nice. And that's it. That's all the news that's fit to print. Apparently, Vinegar Syndrome is now printing books. So you love their releases. Now you can love their books. So go, Vinegar Syndrome. Can I novelize Liquid Sky? Just kidding. I'm not actually.
Ask them.
I've always wanted to write a movie novelization. I'd love to write the movie novelization of Liquid Sky. I'm throwing my hat in the towel, or my towel in the ring. Hat in the hand, whatever. So there you go. So that's all pretty cool, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I think so.
So you've got some sales figures for us?
Some sales figures. Oh, That's a good question. Do I have sales figures? I didn't.
From
Media Play News. I forgot.
Media Play News.
I forgot to look up the sales figures. But you know what? We have this thing called the internet. So what's great about the internet is that I can immediately.
Avatar 3D is coming out, and you have no sales figures for it.
Okay, bro.
Damn
okay,
it.
bro.
Damn it.
Bro. Just hold on. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just hang on. I will bring you the sales figures. I have been remiss. I was obviously slacking. I am sorry that I slacked, but I'm getting there, okay? I'm getting there. Just give me a minute, and I will give you sales figures. I will give them to you. I promise. And here we go. Now let me just give me a minute, and I'll give you sales figures. I totally forgot about this. I apologize. I'm remiss. Thanks for reminding me. Maybe I should start drinking again because it's better for my memory.
Yeah, it's normally immediately
yes.
after the.
I know when it is. I just forgot to do it. I forgot to look it up. And there's only it happens. It's
Rob, there's only one chart that's interesting: the 3D charts. Come on.
But they don't have I don't even know where the 3D charts are. They always. Hang on a second. There's only. What do you think the top title on the 3D chart's going to be? There's going to be only one thing because it would have blown away everything else. So okay, here we go.
But we need you to get that percentage drop over 0.0.
Yes. Well, it does. On the Media Play News, you go up here. It doesn't say. It Blu-rays and 4K disc. Where's the 3D? I don't know where the 3D is. Top HD formats, Blu-ray disc mark. Oh, here we go. It does have the 3D share here. I'm right. Okay. Ooh, you're gonna love this one, Dietz. You're gonna love this.
Hit me, Rob.
Okay, hold on because this is good. It's gonna be worth the wait or all my ridiculous pitter patter. you're gonna love this, everybody. I know you're all waiting with bated breath now, like, ooh, what's the news gonna be? Okay, first let's rifle through this, shall we? Here are the top 20 best sellers for the week, and these are the top selling Blu-ray discs, of course. And you can see, well, not surprisingly, number one is of course Avatar: The Way of Water. John Wick Chapter 4 is number 2. The Super Mario Brothers movie is number 3. Avatar is number 4. So the Avatar 4K, and look at that, Jimmy C up there twice in the top 5.
With the first one.
Yes, Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, which actually I've heard is a good movie. That's number 5. Number 6 is Dungeons and Dragons. Number 7 is The Pope's Exorcist. Number 8 is Renfield. Number 9 is Fury of the Gods. And number 10 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So that's pretty cool. And then we go to top selling Ultra 4K HD discs. Let's take a gander here. Obviously, number 1, not surprising, Avatar: The Way of Water. John Wick Chapter 4. Avatar, number 3. So you look at almost the top 2 positions. But,
Jimmy C.
And these are 4K discs. Super Mario Brothers, the movie, is number 4. Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Ronin. Now, look at this. Nice. I love to see this. Ronin from, of course, Kino Lorber. The Firm and Vanilla Sky, 2 great catalog titles from Paramount. And then Spider-Man and Shazam! Fury of the Gods. So I love the fact that we have 3 great catalog titles that are in the top 10. Which shows the viability of 4K discs, which is that's exciting. And now, so we've got the top 20 overall. Did I do bestsellers? I didn't do top 20 overall. Well, we don't have to because they're the same. Here it comes, Keats. Here's what you want. Here it comes. You ready?
The
3D market share. Look at that. 3. Avatar: The Way of Water is the first 3D maybe since this show began. It might be the first 3D disc that has over a 0.0 something share.
Exactly.
So that means 6%. Almost 7% of the entire Or is it the 3D market share? Is it only the market share of the 3D market?
3D.
Okay, if it's the 3D market share of the 3D market, I'm sure if I'm wrong about that, I'll get another letter from the guy from Media Play News.
Yeah.
6.78%. That's not bad. I think that was you, me, and Tom Jr. Jackson. No, but
Definitely.
obviously it's sold well.
Yeah.
Top Gun and the Croods. No Wizard of Oz 3D this week, so that's good. There you go. There's the news that's fit to print,
Nice.
and that's the end of the news. That is the end of the news.
Okay.
And we're caught up, dude.
Do we do some super chats or do we do the live chat?
We're caught up with super chats.
Do you think so, Rob? There was one from Thomas Logan. I've seen.
We did that one.
came
That was about the Exorcist, wasn't it? Or is there another one?
No, there wasn't. There was a newer one.
There is. Nope.
Yeah,
that was
the
the
last
last one. That was the last one.
No, I've got here, Rob, from Thomas Logan. How dumb?
Oh wait, you know what?
dumbfounded-
No, you know what? I'll tell
Yeah.
you something. There, Tommy Ricknell says,
Yeah.
my most sought after 4Ks are black. Oh, it's about. It's just because I thought it was okay. My most sought after 4Ks are Black Swan, Point Break, and Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, directed by Simon Windsor. That you know what? I think you're going to be waiting a long time for Harley Davidson. I could see Point Break. It's a
Wasn't
Fox
that
film.
an
Point Break.
MGM movie, Rob?
What's that?
Harley Davidson and the Marlboro. Wasn't that an MGM movie?
Yeah. So maybe somebody
Kino
like
Lorber?
Vinegar Syndrome will put it out.
Kino Lorber.
But yeah, they might because they're licensing out everything. Come on, Don Johnson and Mickey Rourke. Black Swan. I'd love to get Black Swan in 4K. And Point Break.
Yeah.
I could see Point Break coming out if Fox will ever get their act together and start putting out. Disney will start putting out their movies.
But I would think, when did Black Swan came out, Rob? There's probably not a 4K master for that movie. Just thinking.
That might be, but that. Yeah, and if it's not shot on film, they might have not. I don't know. That's a good question. But they could still do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Black Swan. I'd love to get Point Break, a 4K of Point Break.
Definitely.
So Thomas Logan goes on to say, I thought because this was an Exorcist question, it was the same one, but it's not. So thanks for pointing that out. R&B and Deets, how dumbfounded or depressed were you after watching Exorcist 2: The Heretic? Should John Borman have quit? Rob, what's your sequel to The Exorcist? Well, my sequel to The Exorcist is Exorcist 3. I have to tell you, Exorcist 2: The Heretic, which I want to say came out in 77. Did it come out in 77? Might be 78. 70. I think it's 77. Exorcist 2: The Heretic was the first R-rated movie I saw in the theater. I was very perplexed. Now, here's the thing. When I saw Exorcist 2: The Heretic, which I saw before I saw the original Exorcist, I didn't hate it because I hadn't seen The Exorcist, so I didn't know what I was missing. But I thought it was just fucking weird. Like, I'm like, what? This movie is really. I mean, if you watch it now, I understand what John Borman. If The Exorcist 2 was just called The Heretic, and it was a John Borman movie, and it wasn't a sequel to The Exorcist, I'd be like, what a weird. Like, then it would be like the John Borman weird mythology trilogy with Zardoz, The Exorcist 2: The Heretic, and Excalibur. So to me, I see Exorcist 2 as kind of the middle chapter of John Borman's sort of mythology trilogy, in a way, although it dealt more with...
You and your rules.
That's kind of, I mean, in my own mind, here's a little bit of my own psyche.
You're canonista.
Exorcist 2 is a terrible sequel to The Exorcist, and by all accounts, it's a pretty terrible movie. However, it's really interesting. And when I watch it now, I'm like, I have the Shout Factory disc. I find it fascinating, and the deleted scene, like when he goes the possession at the beginning. And I will say this. The trailer for The Exorcist 2: The Heretic with the Ennio Morricone score, dun dun, or blah 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 blah, is one of the coolest pieces of music ever. I don't even know if that piece of music's in the movie. It might just be for the trailer. Look up trailer for Exorcist 2: The Heretic. The trailer is like one of the greatest. I mean, It's like a hot girl that doesn't know what to do once you get her naked. It's that terrible. It's that depressing. Watching that trailer and then seeing the movie. If you have the right mindset. It's probably a bad metaphor. I'm going to get canceled. But yeah, it's not good. But if you watch The Exorcist 2, it's like, how the fuck did that movie even get made? How did it get made?
Isn't there a documentary about it, Rob? Or
Yeah, I mean, it's just insane. Yeah, it's yeah. No, and I don't think Borman should have quit because, these concerns that Borman has, they were ongoing concerns of John Borman's, and he stuck to his guns. And without Exorcist 2, would we have got Excalibur? I don't know. Was it worth it?
Okay.
I don't know. So now we're caught up. Do we have the live chat to do?
Okay, as a little bit of a fade out of our show, I say previously on Let's Get Physical Media. We have my friend Simon from Australia who had brain surgery, is now undergoing a little bit chemotherapy, a little bit of a letter. He sent it to me via WhatsApp. Wishing a wonderful morning and a great show to you guys, Rob and Dietz, and to the entire community. Thanks always for keeping up our spirits and for keeping the physical media flames burning high. As Dietz knows, I just bought a new home and was then hit with a little bit of a crazy illness. All things considered, I feel blessed, and Rob's amazing community is a big component of that. In the process of setting up a home theater system, surround sound and 4K player, items are only left. Can't wait to get this baby going so my family and I can get in some quality movie time. Thanks again all. You all rock. Simon, you rock too. Get well, my friend. Charlie the Unicorn. Das Boot. Exactly, Charlie Unicorn. Das Boot, not Boot. Even it's written that way. Or yet would you say it in English? But it's Das Boot. Eucalyptus says, Dietz and his trash. What can you do, Eucalyptus? You know me.
Dude, but even you got to admit that even that movie, that's a step down. Like some of your trash could be. You've even said there's good trash.
The problem was, Rob, normally I, of course, check what is the Rotten Tomato score, but I couldn't find anything about it. Perhaps through the title change.
Well, so maybe it hasn't gotten to the United States yet, and probably with good reason.
Yeah, for good reasons, Rob. Exactly. But
why don't you give the folks at home, people might be new to the channel, what is the difference between good trash and bad trash?
Good trash, bad trash. So as simple as that, Rob. This Rob has, like you would say, authorship. They succeeded.
Okay.
What they wanted to do. I've had a good time with Matt Heidi. This one, it's actually not even in that. Sometimes you're hoping for it, so it's so bad that it's good. But this is just trash, not at that level, But okay.
I think you need to come up with some kind of an infographic, the Dieter Bastian trash infographic. And you can use various movies to show the scale.
Tier list, Rob. You want the tier list?
Yeah, we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to find a talented artist out there in our viewership that can make us the Dieter Bastian good trash to bad trash infographic.
Yeah. There's different variations, even in that kind of genre, because you said the other Steelbook, which was great, a Steelbook, but the movie was not that good. Which was it called, Rob?
Her goats something.
Yeah, her goats, killer goats or something like that.
Oh, kill her goats.
Killer goats, yeah. The
Kill her
Steelbook was
goats.
awesome. The package was awesome, Rob. Like this, come on, Okay.
Still
Matt
costs
says,
money.
Yeah. Matt says the first two Hunger Games movies are fantastic, and I can agree to that. Eucalyptus, I want Rob and Dietz to adopt me. I have no place here to adopt you. Go to Rob. He adopts puppies. Sells puppies.
I'll adopt you. Will you do chores? I mean, like an hour of chores a day?
Oh, eucalyptus.
We have an empty room.
You heard it? You have to do chores, you know? A little bit of his personal assistant, probably.
I'd love that.
James Woolard. Germans have no sense of humor. Where's the evidence to that, James? Where's the evidence? I want to see your receipts for that. James Woolard again. I'm going to see any movie in which J-Law goes full frontal. Yeah, you can have that in no hard feelings. Charlie the Unicorn thinks the movie wasn't targeted to my age range. Well, it certainly was for all ages, you know. And Adventure Square says, one day we'll be watching all movies in VR goggles with AI rewriting the text and image as we go. Then watching all J-Law movies will be an easy as they already are, Adventure Square. And of course, Rob always throws in how many I paid for that Hunger Games book. And Tom Jr. Jackson says, Jesus Christ, $10,000. Of course, it wasn't $10,000. Don't believe everything Rob is telling you, you know. And Danzig 1979 says, for $10K, I would expect J-Law to deliver it personally. That unfortunately didn't happen. But the Alex Sorber says, Dieter, I admire your insanity. Thanks, Alex Sorber.
I would just like to point out that if you go to Asulin, which it has Tim Palin's Hunger Games book, Tim Palin's photographs from the Hunger Games Ultimate
Do you
Edition.
throw me under the bus, Rob, again?
It's $1,200.
So the price has gone up, Rob.
Yeah, so you made an investment. So the $850 you spent or whatever, you've made an investment. If you were to sell that book, you could make money. So I would say I can no longer wantonly make fun of you for buying that book because it's now worth more than it was when you paid for it.
Which is strange to me, Rob, because we normally know it goes the other way around. If it's not sold, you know, it's normally dipping in the price. So strangely enough, it's gotten an uptick in the price, which is nice to know. Tucker Flynn, considering people chiming in about the new movies in theaters, Tucker Flynn, I thought Elemental was decent. Oh, nice to know. And considering No Hard Feelings, Charlie the Unicorn says, here's the difference. No Hard Feelings was made for $70 million. Well, Charlie, what I've read or seen was 45, 48, not 70 million.
In no universe should No Hard Feelings have cost $70 million.
No.
That movie should have been made for 10.
Exactly.
But because of the fees and everything, I mean, that was not a $70 million movie. That was a $10 million movie at best. And if you made it for that, it would be a huge hit.
Yeah.
Of course, then people would have, got their little taste, would they?
Yeah. Danzig, 1979. Feel bad for The Flash. It's not terrible, and also not the best comic book film.
I like it.
And RJ, yeah, me too. RJ Skoranicki. So The Flash is officially a bomb at this point. Well, it immediately was during the first weekend, I would say. And Rob, I always have to remind myself that we have people from all over the world watching our show. And here's Mr. Slimfinger, Rob. Hello from the Åland Islands in Finland. Dieter is the goat of physical media. Glad to know that, Rob. So we have Terje from Norway, Rob. We have Stubble from Sweden. And now we have Mr. Slimfinger from Finland, you know. And I have to look that up, Rob. The Åland Islands are consist of over 6,000 islands somehow. Strange, you know. Always have to remind myself that we have international audience.
Wait a minute.
Sorry.
Wait. Hang on a second. You have to remind yourself we have an international audience, and you're in Saarbrücken, Deutschland, and I'm here in California.
Yeah, but we have Finland,
this is an international.
Norway, you know,
this is an international show. We got people from all. Okay, I want everybody. Let's just try an experiment right here. Everybody who's in the live chat right now, the live chat right now currently consists of, I can tell you in a minute, We have 220 people watching this show live right now.
Yeah.
I want everyone to sign off. What country are you in right now? If you're in the live chat,
Right now.
fire it up. And I mean, it's going to take. There's a little bit of a lag, so it's going to take a while.
Of course.
But I would like to see. Just give me a sound off wherever you're at. Put your country in the chat.
Spain.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Obviously, that request is not hit yet, but it's going to be interesting to see what people say. USA,
of course.
US, UK,
UK.
UK, the islands in Finland, England, Canadian film lover, UK, Canada, Portugal, Hugo Nunez is in Portugal, Kentucky,
USA,
Georgia, and the USA, Ireland,
Germany, Kiki,
Germany, USA, UK, Germany, USA via
Canada.
Texas, UK, United Kingdom, Finland again,
Greetings from
Helsinki,
Finland again.
Dr.
Nice.
Strange Freaks in Helsinki, the Galapagos Islands. Come on,
Angola in
200
Africa,
Watt
bro.
Studio is not in the Galapagos Islands. Come on, come on, dude, you're not in the Galapagos. Angola in Africa. That's cool.
India.
Eucalyptus. America. Gandalf the White Wolf's in America.
America, fuck yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean, that's a pretty good representation. Truly a global show. John's in. Oh, look, Condo 007's in Timbuktu. 200 Watt Studio, Galapagos Islands. If 200 Watt Studio is actually in the Galapagos Islands right now, Kelvin's in Australia.
We forgot Australia is on a different time schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, normally.
Okay, I got to give it up to R. Hilton Fine Art. Goethe is the funniest author I've ever read. Oh, that's hilarious. You're hilarious.
Nice.
But that's pretty good.
Nice.
Denmark.
Yeah.
Brian Jules in Denmark. Riverside, Iowa. Dalton Jackson. Riverside. I know what you mean by there. I see what you did there, Dalton. You only work in outer space though. So that's good.
Nice to know.
And Condo 007 was in Matera last week. Did you break up with your girlfriend there? By the way, that's a great piece of music on the No Time to Die soundtrack, Matera. Just saying.
At least.
Okay. Sorry, that was just a little name check. So what's going on? Yeah. Back to your live feed.
So this was Mr. Slimfinger from Finland. Then Soren Resner, The Thing, is my favorite movie of all time, and I can see why that is. Andy Beglin, my friend Andy Beglin, Sterilization. Sorry, Dieter, but had to promote this badass film, and of course he speaks of blood and gold, definitely. Considering my synchronization sometimes goes out and Rob is kicking me out and kicking me in. Tim Hens, Rob kicking the Germans out again like the time the Americans controlled West Germany.
That's right.
Yeah, that's how we are working here on the show. John Platt, The Thing is a masterpiece in modern day sci-fi horror that creates such a wonderful sense of suspense, tension, paranoia, and fear. This film is perfect. Nice. Eucalyptus wants to know, is Dieter German? And demands answers, he's definitely not Austrian. So my passport says I am German. So I hope it's correct what the passport says. Adventure Square. Watched John Wick 4 recently. Great finale to the series. I would second that. And I can only hope in not doing a fifth one. But like Secular Monk says, I don't think the series will end. It's too profitable. Rob, when will the Continental series start on Peacock?
I don't know, but it looks. I think it's September. It's September. Okay. Yeah, it looks good.
Ballerina, Anna de Armas next year.
Yeah, probably next year. Yeah. So the John Wick series is technically not ending.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. On that point, let me just see here. Okay.
All Metal says Pantera was on a Bond soundtrack. No, Matera is the name of a track on the No Time to Die soundtrack.
Pantera. That would be something. Paul in Long Beach. Oh my God! Dieter was able to see J-Law on the big screen. I'm sure he was all in Schadenfreude. Paul, I'm not sure if you know what Schadenfreude means. I was in joy, but Schadenfreude not I was not in Schadenfreude to see it. Salivating pork chop. Is that an Angry Joe shirt? Yes. Are you out of your fucking mind? This is an Angry Joe shirt because we have to support the little YouTubers. So not Angry Joe, but Adam Does Movies, one of my favorite YouTubers in the YouTube pundit space, talking movies. He does great takes on movies, always be entertained, even if I'm not on the same rating with the movie. And a great thing.
Since when did we decide to start promoting other YouTubers on this channel? Nah, I'm kidding.
It can happen. It can happen. And
it's a good
thing. He has a nice Patreon Mithril level membership where you can pay him and he has to watch a movie and review a movie, which would be a good idea for Rob. So I have to pay him to watch Bang Boom Bang that I could finally a review about that movie. But someone has to watch him Cats the musical. And then he has always have to do a YouTube video with a review about it. And the Cats review video from him was hilarious. Totally loved it. So it was a pain for him to sit through the movie perhaps, but we got a nice review. So if you want to see cool movie reviews, Adam Does Movies, Adam Ohlinger, one of my favorite YouTubers. And he is smaller than, of course, Angry Joe.
If Kino Lorber follows the pattern that Kino Lorber has followed, they usually send me discs that are coming out 2 weeks in advance.
So To Live and Die in L.A. this week, you think? Okay.
Very possible.
Fingers crossed. If there's one thing wrong with that transfer, we will never hear the end about it, folks.
No. But this could be the week. This could be the week.
Yeah.
I'm just
fingers
saying.
crossed, bro. Fingers crossed. You get it. You get it as early as possible. Peter Puffer, is Vinegar Syndrome sending out replacements automatically, or do we have to contact them? Like Rob said, if you have ordered from Vinegar Syndrome, their store, immediately you will get automatically your replacement disc. If you have ordered over Amazon, you will have to, I don't know, over Amazon, something like that. I don't know how will the exchange program differ. So, like Rob said, it is the best way to order from Vinegar Syndrome, or the labels.
And they did say that they were going to be shipping in mid-July, so it'll be a pretty quick turnaround.
Paul in Long Beach, I hope the context is Showgirls. I like the German version. Paul in Long Beach. You and I park our shuttlecrafts in the same shuttle bay, but don't tell anyone.
Hey, I have to tell you, I think that the German version of Showgirls, I like it too. I think the Vinegar Syndrome version's better, but there's something...
It is the correct one. It is the natural one.
But it's more natural. But there's something about the German version that the more artificial, candy-colored nature of it, it totally plays more into the whole Vegas-y, showgirly thing. I mean, and I'm happy to have that media book.
Yeah. It comes with the doc, Rob. That is not on the Vinegar Syndrome.
Right, and that's the thing. It comes with that doc. You don't know me. Yeah. And that documentary is pretty good. I don't know why it's probably because they couldn't license for whatever reason. I bet the people wanted too much money.
Could be.
The Germans paid, though.
So, nice to hear that. Adventure Square, Donnie Yen is my main man. Seriously, watch any Donnie Yen movie anytime for a good action-y time. You're right about that. My friend Tim Hans, I need all my all-time favorite TV show 24 in HD, season 7, 8, and 9 are only available on Blu-ray, which is unfortunate. But I think I know they're not on for streaming particularly here, but I think they are in HD on Disney Plus. But Tim Hans wants, of course, to own 24 in HD, which will probably, considering it's under Disney now, not happening. I would think so that it will happen. German Nightmare, 1976. I'm late, catching up now. Best thing of the week for me was watching Iron Maiden live on Wednesday. Up the irons and hail to Rob, Dieter, and the chat. The German Nightmare. This should have been probably the future past tour. I hope you had a great time with Iron Maiden. Admiral, I watched your last Star Trek rant. You have always the words that I didn't find for loving the original Star Trek. Thanks, Rob. That's always
Well,
great.
what can I say? You know, I might be what would you call it? Beating a dead blue unicorn like Kirk wrote in Final Frontier, but you know, you get these Star Trek rants. I have to tell you, you won't get any more from me for the last 3 episodes of Strange New Worlds. You might get one for the musical episode. The musical episode just... Oh, yes, they're going to do... Because here's the thing. Star Trek can no longer do anything original. This last episode, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, they borrowed that title from an Orville episode, which is from the same passage of Macbeth that All Our Yesterdays is from, which was the penultimate episode of the original series in 1969. 69, dude. Yeah, because Akiva Goldsman can't do anything but adapt others' work. That's how he got his Academy Award, by adapting someone else's work, not for writing something original. Akiva Goldsman wrote and directed a version of Mark Halperin's book, A Winter's Tale, which is one of the most abominable literary adaptations I've ever sine. Don't get me started. Why am I doing this to myself again? Let me get back to the live chat.
5 Toast. I think I missed it. What's up with the Sugars for OK? There's some audio issues.
There's echo in the surround channels, and some of the subtitles are apparently wonky.
Nice. And Alex Sorber comes in with the same thing as Altmetall. I shared Rob's last rant with a friend who doesn't understand why I think new Trek is trash. So Rob explains that to other people.
I can. It's really easily, the reason that new Trek is trash is because new Trek is trash. Thank you.
There you go. And not even in the it's so bad it's good way. It's just trash.
It is.
Altmetall, Departed is a cheap copy of Infernal Affairs, a joke that movie won Oscars. It is what it is. Altmetall. Terje from Norway. Looks like Rob is drinking an iceberg, considering his big avatar plastic cup with all the ice in it. So it looks like Rob is drinking.
I am drinking an iceberg.
Nosfa.
And it goes down nicely.
Nosfa 4th. I liked Halloween Ends. Unbelievable. Tim Hens, Rob and Mark Kermode share similar likes. Not when it comes to Avatar, Tim Hens. Not when it comes to...
No, but I really respect Mark Kermode. He's one of my favorite critics.
Totally.
Love him.
Me too. Tim Hens only watched the first of the new Halloween movies. It was crap. Didn't bother with the other two. Well, Tim, you were way cleverer than I was. But considering Halloween Kills, it works for me as a comedy, at least. No? Deadpool Red Suit. Caspar Noé has directed some great films. Today I watched Luxy Turner and was shocked by its short runtime. To be honest, I expected more from what there is to it. Okay. Rob, have you watched Luxy Turner?
Yeah, and I agree. I wanted more. Gaspar Noé, I think Enter the Void. Enter the Void was the first film in a long time that I watched its entire 3 hours until 3 a.m, and I started it over again and watched it again. I was blown away by Enter the Void. I need to get that new Arrow disc. I didn't get that out of the original release, but yeah.
Paul in Long Beach. Holy cow! Did Rob just say he enjoyed new Trek? Beware the apocalypse. And he goes on, I won't go on a Star Trek rant. Famous last words. Equity Group. Sad days when no new Star Wars or new Marvel is exciting. And Equity Group From is the best show on TV right now. It is on Paramount Plus. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten around to it. Rob, have you started From on Paramount?
Yeah, I've watched both seasons.
Okay.
It's
your take a little bit?
Pretty good. As far as horror shows that go, it's really intriguing. I really like From.
Nice. And it got greenlit for a 3rd season.
Yeah, it's really intriguing. Here's the thing, though. It could wind up for me being an impossible premise show. Now it's
not again, Rob. Not again.
It's not like Manifest. It's really interesting. It's really creepy. I really like the show a lot. I just think it also has one of those premises that I don't think they necessarily know what the end is. See, the problem is when you have these kinds of... Do you know what it's about? From?
No, unfortunately, at the moment, not, Rob.
Okay, it's a small town.
Yeah.
If you drive in and you get into this town, this is all I'm going to tell you. You can't get out. Like if you try and take the road out, you'll just wind up right back at the town. And then at night, the town is laid siege to by these, call them apparitions, manifestations, creatures, call it what you want. And the people have to deal with that. And without spoiling anything, that is great. But I'm not convinced. Like when you come up with a premise like that, the question is, why is this happening? How is this happening? What's going on? And the answer to that question...
Silo.
Well, but the thing about Silo's based on I don't know if From is based on a book or anything, but Silo is based on Hugh Howley's his book series. So you already know it's already laid out for you. It's not an impossible... Well, it doesn't answer all the questions, but the end of this first season is something you knew was coming if you read the books. This show From is really well done. I think it's really well made. But I'm dubious as to... Because you want to know what's happening. I don't know if they give you an explanation of all this, I don't know if it would ever be satisfying. So it always has to remain ambiguous, and I hate that. I hate that because ultimately that's a story that doesn't necessarily... I mean, I don't mind when stories end ambiguously, but this story, it immediately sets up the question, what is going on here and why is it happening? And I don't know if they're ever going to answer that question. And to me, that's an impossible premise. If you can't answer the question, unless you are giving us something that is so memorable and so astonishing that when it's over, it's so intriguing by the end that you don't mind, then it's okay. But they never do that. They come up with these impossible premises. They can never pay them off. But I would say them so far is not like Manifest, which feels like ultimate gobbledygook as it went along. This, it seems like they know what's up, at least throughout the second season. I thought so.
Nice. Have to get on it. Equity Group, Alien Covenant was a masterpiece, and PM Ferreira, so was my last dump. Tim Hen says, Deeds and his buddy Rennie. Unfortunately not Tim, because Rob still hasn't invited Rennie, so we can talk about this strange longer cut of Fort Fairlane that somebody here has seen and is even better than the theatrical version. I still don't believe that. Unbelievable, Rob, that you were able to see that.
You know what? I bet I can find somebody that knows Rennie Harlan. I've never tried. Somebody I know must know Rennie Harlan. I was able to get Taylor Hackford to come on our Blood In, Blood Out YouTube show. I'm going to find out. I'm going to call somebody and find out. I'm going to call the same person who knew Taylor Hackford. And you know what? I'm going to send out an email right now and see if I can find out if I can get Rennie Harlan's contact information. Because he might have a copy. He might have a copy of that movie, the director's cut, the long version. Would that be not the greatest present of all time? Come on,
definitely.
It'd probably only be on
more than just a lousy shirt.
It'd probably be on more than it'd only probably be on VHS. But I'm just saying.
Yeah. Tim Hens, you showed Rob as one of the coming attractions, the Staying Alive, 4K. Tim Hens, Staying Alive, a guilty pleasure movie. Adventure Square, it's more of a so bad, it's good for me. Big Disc Energy, Muschietti was about the 89th director on The Flash. He probably salvaged whatever was there to salvage. Muschietti is a good director. Okay.
He is.
Gordon Waddell, watched for the first time the other day when I heard about this release because I was considering getting it. I'm sorry, but the movie should be called Shit Follows. I will not be getting this set. So he was not happy with it follows.
I know.
Big This Energy. Has anyone seen Asteroid City? Go see Asteroid City. Rob, have you seen Asteroid City?
No, but Sophie went and saw it yesterday, and she liked it very much.
Oh, nice. Nice to know. Tim Hens, not watched either Extraction movies myself yet either. Why not realize them on the big screen too? Rob, I would think they will do, of course, an Extraction 3. I would think it would be a good idea, considering Extraction 2 has now a big following. I would think that could be a hit if you put it in theaters.
I agree with the amount of money with Chris Hemsworth. I mean, why they didn't release that movie, which I thought was better than the first one in the theaters.
Nice.
You got me, pal.
Yeah.
No idea.
Would be probably the fan base has just grown considering after these two movies. Rogue Finger, the first season of Doda's Dragon's Blood had great animation. Nice.
Yes, it did, and it had even better editing. No, I'm kidding.
Do we know who did the edit on Doda's Dragon Last Blood? Something new, but I think you had to share your credit card on that one.
Yeah, so well, that's because I only get I only as a producer do I get single card.
Yeah.
Plus, to be fair, I'd never worked in animation before.
Yeah, it was a new field for you.
Yeah.
Considering Gordon Waddell was not happy with It Follows, but he had another one that was not to his taste. Gordon Waddell, last week I got the second sight, the Strangers box set, as a blind buy. Never doing that again. Great collector set, very disappointing movie. Come on, Gordon Waddell. It's all about the great blind buys here, you know. Ron C. Flash Grade 6.5. I didn't care for the time travel within the time travel, if that makes any sense. Adventure Square, we talked a little bit about Stuckman's movie Shelby Oaks. Yeah, looking forward to seeing Stuckman's outing. And Alpenthal, I'm really interested what Chris is doing with this movie. I hope he will take his chance. Okay, Rob, this was the live chat from last week.
Did you know that Chris Stuckman wrote a book?
But it's out. It's way back. Wasn't it? It's not the top 200 movies for
I think it's like top 50.
Oh, top 50. Top 50.
Yeah, like I think.
Yeah.
I didn't know he did. I didn't know he did. I learned that this week. So you learned something.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get on Amazon or not.
A while ago, Rob. It's not new.
Right. No, it's old.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know they did that. I'm gonna have to buy it. Track it down.
Nice.
So
this was the live.
We got more super chats
that
we get to. I mean, this is going to be the longest show ever, as somebody will tell us, probably. No, I'm just kidding. Ron C. says, Happy 4th, Rob and Dietz. Studios prefer to make PG-13 films for theaters. No Dirty Harry, no 48 Hours, no 9.5 Weeks. I would enjoy a movie with a mature audience in luxurious seats, surround sound. Thoughts? Well, we always talk about that on the show. The studios, it's true. I mean, they can't make, they're not making movies for adults anymore. And the movies that they're making, they're spending $150 to $200 million on movies they're making for the entire world, you know, which I completely understand why, because they want to spend $150 to $200 million and make $1 billion. I get that. But that's why we're not getting movies like The Firm anymore. We're not getting Hunt for Red October. And if we were, The Firm would be a 10-part miniseries on Netflix.
HBO.
I mean, all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, the Jack Ryan series, Netflix streaming. Jack Reacher series, Netflix streaming. They've literally taken characters. There were 2 Jack Reacher movies starring Tom Cruise. Now Jack Reacher's a 10-part series on Amazon.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and I understand that because the studios, again, as a Wall Street thing, the studios are not, you know, I like the Blumhouse model. You start out making a $5 million movie. If it turns out great, then you can use Universal to release it theatrically and make $100 million. Look at Smile. Smile, $17 million spend, a $200 million worldwide gross plus. Roy Lee producing a movie like Barbarian, $4.5 million. It makes over $40 million. That's huge profitability. right there. But that's not enough for the studios because the studios have to bring in billions of dollars now. And I don't understand it. And I'll tell you something, if you can make a movie like Smile theatrically viable, why that should tell the studios something. I mean, if you look at where Disney's at right now, and if you can, there's 20,000 different YouTube channels that'll tell you how much money Disney has lost over the last year, just over the last year, because the kind of money they're spending. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And Warner Brothers, too, between Black Adam, Fury of the Gods, and now The Flash. I mean,
just tossed away.
It gives me no pleasure. I mean, wouldn't Warner Brothers have rather had movies like a $60 or $80 million movie that made $300 million? Well, they wouldn't because, but when you think about it, you could actually make a movie like Smile, for instance. A movie like Smile, whatever the profitability, if you make a $17 million movie that grosses $200 million, okay? If you think about it, now let's take away half of that box office. So a $17 million movie has made $100 million for the studio. The studio only gets $200 million. So, I mean, the movie only grossed $200 million, but the studio gets, let's call it half. Let's be conservative. And then that includes $17 million and marketing. And let's say Smile, because it had a big marketing campaign. So the movie was made for $17 million, and the studio spent, let's go big. Let's say it made they spent $30 million on marketing, right? So you're looking at, what is that? That's $47 million. That's a $47 million investment, and the studio got $100 million. So we subtract the $47 million investment. So the studio, Paramount, could have made a profit of $53 million on paper. Now Paramount's going to then write off the entire studio overhead off that budget because that's how things work. And let's say whatever they get away with, they can tell you that Smile made no money. They could then write off the entire studio overhead and take that $53 million profit and wipe it out, which they will do. Wipe it out and say that $53 million was what the studio cost. Because what they do is then everything that it costs to run Paramount for whatever the year that Smile was being made, they'll write off as well. That's studio accounting. So the studio would tell you that it made zero. Smile made no money. That's what the studios will say. Because and every movie that the studios make, they will take their whatever they need to show in losses, they'll just chalk it up to studio overhead. And they can do that for every movie they make every year because it's not wrong. They're not lying. It's just that they put it's like when you have a movie that your distributor takes, like if I make an independent movie, and I know this because it happened. If I make an independent movie and my distributor takes it to the Cannes Film Festival. Now let's say they have 20 movies they're representing in Cannes and they spend $300,000 or $500,000 to go to Cannes to sell the movies. They will charge that $300,000 or $500,000 to every single movie individually. They'll be like, it cost us $500,000 to go to Cannes. You need to make that $500,000 back before you're in profit. And that happens. And they're not wrong. It's just part of the business. So that's why the studios have to spend $200 million to make $1 billion movie. But if you make a $200 million movie that doesn't make $600 or $800 million, you're in real trouble.
Yeah. Will be even with Stuckman's movie. It will be interesting to see if he sells to a streaming platform at some point, or how the movie will be distributed.
And he's going to learn. He's going to learn a very valuable lesson because he's Chris Stuckman and because he's got $1 million. Like what I would do if I was him. I would take his movie. I would take that movie out and rent a theater, take it to a big theater, and do what Kevin Smith does. Sell tickets to A Night with Chris Stuckman, charge $200, take a few stars of the film with you, and you go from theater to theater to theater and do something
cool
like
idea.
that. I mean, I would. Terrier says, who knew Kirk's biggest nemesis was a Canadian? A Canadian. Khanadian. Terrier, for that joke, you should never come back to this channel. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I kid. A Canadian. Thomas Logan says, R&B and Deets, Exorcist 3 reactions and thoughts. Did you guys see it in theaters? Did you prefer the Legion cut? The church confessional scene was very scary. I saw Exorcist 3 opening night at the Avco Cinema in Westwood. And after I loved it, the greatest jump scare of all time, still to this day. In context, it's better. People go watch it on YouTube and ruins it. But after that jump scare, the whole theater burst into applause. The confessional scene is great. I prefer the performance, especially Brad Dourif's performance in the theatrical cut. The Legion cut is good. I think the theatrical cut's better. And while The Exorcist is the exorcism at the end of the movie, it does kind of feel tacked on. I think they were right to do it because the movie needed. It gets a little too crazy, but I love George C. Scott's performance in it. I think he's great.
I will have to watch the 4K again because I don't remember if I have seen it or when I've seen it. I haven't seen it in a long time.
The thing about some of the joys of Exorcist 3 are not even the horror elements. They're the elements of just the dialogue and the dream sequence with Patrick Ewing and Fabio.
Whoa, Patrick Ewing, Matt Dallas times comes back.
And Patrick Ewing he plays like an angel. It's a dream sequence. The movie itself and the dialogue, I could just hang out and listen to George C. Scott talking to Ed Flanders. And there's great moments like with what's his face? The guy who's in Walking Dead. It's on the tip of my tongue. Older actor. The scene where
you mean who played Herschel?
Was it Herschel?
In the series.
Scott Wilson.
His name was
Scott Wilson.
Okay.
The actor Scott Wilson. Yeah, Scott Wilson. When he's playing the smoking doctor who's smoking cigarettes like this with all the stacked newspapers in his office, he's like, "Did you read the articles? They're good." I mean, they're so... And Mrs. Clelia crawling around on the roof. Exorcist 3 is fucking awesome.
Nice.
I love that movie. It's awesome. Barry DeVorzon's score. Yeah. You know, it's so great. The whole movie's great. I love that whole movie. But I do prefer the theatrical cut.
Yeah.
Walter White Walker says, different kind of PM, but what can I do with these old Star Wars comics from the 70s? Read them again. Come on, they got the Hoojibs. They have Jaxon. Issue 8's where Jaxon is introduced, isn't it? If they're in great shape, you can definitely, or have them cleaned and find out. There's a couple of those that are really valuable. If they're in great shape, you could slab them, send them to CGC and get them slabbed. Send them to Kevin the Comic Doctor. He'll clean them up for you. But comics really aren't worth much unless you get them slabbed. And that means you sell them to CGC, they grade them, and they put them in a hard plastic vacuum sealed case. But remember, they're only really valuable if they're in great shape. And I hate to burst anyone's bubbles, but if your comics aren't in great shape and they're not slabbed, they're not really worth anything. With Star Wars comics, you can find out, and just do a Google search, what are the most valuable Marvel Star Wars comics? And they'll tell you, and they'll show when they were sold last, slabbed, and what grading they had. But they have to be in the 9.4, 9.6, 9.8 to be worth anything. Roberto Suarez is back. He's here. He's been a member for 31 months. By the way, Roberto and Alex dropped a pre-recorded Que Pasa PGS, which is 97% Spanish yesterday, which was good. I watched some of it. Garfield's Bizarre Adventure says these Hollywood budgets are out of control. $300 million at least for the new Indiana Jones film is absurd. Where's all the money going? Is someone pocketing? No, Hollywood budgets, no one's pocketing budgets. They're pretty... There's a lot of checks and balances on budgets, but they were shooting during COVID. They had to delay shooting. There was a lot of problems. But you're right. There's no way. And, if you look at what Raiders cost $20 million in 1980 when they were shooting it. Adjusted for inflation, it would only cost $60. Now, you could not make Raiders for $60 million today, but if you did, and if you looked at what it grossed, adjusted for inflation, it grossed over $1 billion. I mean, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny should not have cost $300 million, even with COVID. It shouldn't have cost $200 million. It shouldn't have cost $100 million, but they don't know how to make movies. You can't, with the effects nowadays, you can't make movies like that. I mean, it was all in-camera stuff. There's so many digital effects now everywhere. I mean, it's a pain in the ass. And the funny thing about it is, the movie's going to lose money. It's already Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is already a failure. It's already a box office failure. It's made $130 million on a $300 million, just quick numbers, on a $300 million spend, okay? The studio only gets half of that money. So if you just take the money that the movie grossed this weekend, the studio hasn't even broken even. And that's without marketing, and that's without studio overhead. It hasn't broken even. So that's why a movie has to, the conventional wisdom was a movie had to always gross 3 times what it cost. Because if it grossed 3 times what it cost, the studio only gets half of that. So you're at 3 times what it costs, and then you include marketing in that. So 3 times what it costs is your break even. So Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, to break even, had to make $900 million. And for that kind of that's just irresponsible. And to sit there and think to yourself, oh, it's Indiana Jones, there is nothing you could say, okay, there was an Indiana Jones made 15 years ago. But if you're not making a movie like we talked about where your main character is fucking awesome from the beginning, like Tom Cruise was in Maverick, how do you expect to get a 4-quadrant audience to come see your movie? I mean, that's the real question. And people are like, oh, it's IP, it's Harrison Ford, it's Indiana Jones. Don't care. It's not a guarantee. You still have to make a great movie that appeals to 4 quadrants, especially when you're spending that kind of money. And the thing is, you know what? The John Wick franchise was a new franchise. Hunger Games, new franchise. These were movies that didn't... I mean, the problem with Hollywood is, honest to God, everyone is so terrified, nobody has the guts anymore to sit down and figure out what a new franchise is going to be. The Hunger Games books, why isn't somebody... You know, I would say Glenn Duncan's Last Werewolf franchise. 3 books. Ridley Scott, RSA, owns those books. Those books, 3 books, already owned by Ridley Scott's company. Yeah. Where are those books? Now, I'm not saying they're necessarily going to do Hunger Games numbers, but I would say a comparable franchise could be John Wick.
Yeah.
You know, and if you look at the kind of franchise you want to build, especially, and that's a fucking Lionsgate franchise. Why isn't... They did it, and John Wick didn't cost $300 million.
No.
And it's just... It's frustrating to watch Hollywood, and I'm not blaming Kathleen Kennedy, but in no way, shape, or form should an Indiana Jones movie cost $200 million, much less $300 million. $125 million, maybe. Maybe.
And John Wick 4, even if it costs $100 million, it looks that way.
Yeah, well...
In every scene, every set, you know, you see the money on the screen.
Yeah.
At least.
Absolutely. And you're looking at Dial of Destiny and you're like, my God, just the live action stuff alone. I mean, if you look at Fast X, $350 million. Didn't even gross $150 million domestically. I mean, Hollywood has, and you know, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, we're in the midst of a writer's strike. We're in the midst of a time when streamers are losing billions of dollars. Hollywood is losing billions of dollars because they do not know how to make movies anymore. They're too reliant on 1,000 digital artists to finish all these movies. They can't, and it's unbelievable how much money it costs to make these films. And the problem is, because they're not a big tentpole movie used to be the exception, not the rule. And they were the movies were supported by and Hollywood has put itself out of business. And it's unfortunate to watch. And I mean, my God, if you look at all these tentpole properties and how much between Universal, how much are they going to lose on Fast X?
Yeah. I even contemplating, Rob, what they are doing now, do you really want to continue with the next movie, the 11 one, on that scale?
No.
Now,
And
after you finish with a cliffhanger like that, you have to continue to at least satisfy the last remaining fans of the franchise.
well, and another thing, I mean, like when Lionsgate was going to make the Hunger Games movies. Now, they didn't pull a Lord of the Rings and greenlight all of them at once. No. But if you have
because the first one can stand on its own, Rob, if it would be
right,
if
and
it would have been a failure.
I know why they do that, but the way that they budget these films out, my God, if you have books like the Hunger Games and you're going to make them, at least make Hunger Games and Catching Fire and shoot them concurrently. I mean, I know that it's hard to do that because you can't. Each movie has to be different because each movie that gets made is its own business. It has its own LLC when they're making it, and I totally get that. But my God, because also like there's now talk that, you know what, I heard something really interesting that I read this on, I think, Collider.
Yeah.
When Denis Villeneuve made Dune, and they first showed it at the Venice Film Festival, he changed the main title card to make it say Part 1. The studio didn't know he did it.
Ooh. Hot topic, Rob. Hot take.
Right?
Hot take.
Right? Now, I read that, and now I had always heard before Dune was going to get made, the idea was to do a trilogy. So that means you were going to make Dune and Dune Messiah, the second book, which is because Paul Atreides' story is carried over. I mean, it's carried further than Dune Messiah, but Dune Messiah is a beginning, a middle, and an end to the story of Paul Atreides' jihad, essentially. And now Denis Villeneuve is talking about doing Dune Part 3. But I heard originally they were going to call the Dune movies Dune Prophet, and Dune Messiah, because they were always going to split the first book into two movies, which makes sense. And, if they ever get to Dune Messiah, they should retitle Dune and just make it Dune Prophet, and Dune Messiah. Which would be great, because if you haven't read, that's why when people are like, oh, Dune's another movie about white savior Paul Atreides. No, it's really not. But you wouldn't know that until you get to Dune Messiah. Hopefully they'll get to do it.
I think we were lucky, Rob, that Dune didn't cost 250 or 300 million. Otherwise, we would have probably not gotten a second one.
No, right, because Dune, I mean, it was during the pandemic, but Dune...
I think it was around 130, I believe.
Yeah, and it was iffy there, but I still think it made more than 400 million worldwide.
Yeah,
Plus it won 6 Academy Awards or something.
Yeah.
Or 4 Academy.
Had some decent physical media sales, Rob, later.
Yeah, and that movie, from a technical standpoint, still, that is the definitive, to me, one of the definitive pieces of physical media to demonstrate your system. The sound in that movie is fucking insane. Insane. Yeah. By the way, did you see the trailer for Dune 2?
No, Rob, I stay away from the trailers. I don't want to see anything. I will go in without having seen anything. You know the story, you know how it goes. I will stay away from the trailers, Rob. I learned my lessons again with No Hard Feelings when I've seen all the...
You won't watch trailers, but you'll buy Escape from Shark.
Yeah, Blind Buy, Rob. Blind Buy. Shark Escape.
All right, but yeah, Science Ladies...
Isn't it the reach here on Let's Get Physical Media that we have the Oscar movies too? The lower...
It's true. I don't mean it's not fair for me to disparage your choice in film. I'm not here to do that. I'm not here... I will not disc shame you.
Not every time, Rob, the trash panda finds fresh bamboo, with his blind bags, You
got to come to my backyard. I got bamboo growing all over the place. I can barely get in my door. I got to get the chainsaw to cut down the bamboo, and that's a true story. Science Lady's here. She's back from work.
Yeah.
That's because this show's gone on for so long that she's still talking. Or we're still talking. Science Lady says, just finished work. I want to see the Napoleon film. When we were at CinemaCon, they showed us a sequence from the Napoleon film. Yeah. It was incredible. The Napoleon film was the sequence they showed. I want to say it was like the Russian army and the Austrian army. Okay. I don't know. It's a famous battle. They teamed up against Napoleon, and Napoleon set a trap for them. The sequence was jaw-dropping. It was unbelievable. I can't wait to see it. Ridley Scott, man.
But Bill and Ted was not there.
It was great. And Roberto Suarez says a bag of cinnamon candy is heading my way. That's from, of course, Bruce's Candy Kitchen in Cannon Beach, Oregon. Bruce's Candy Kitchen in Cannon Beach, Oregon has my favorite candy of all time, which is cinnamon saltwater taffy. And everyone always says people have been sweet and they buy me cinnamon saltwater taffy at other places, you know. It's not the same. The cinnamon saltwater taffy at Bruce's Candy Kitchen, which I've been eating since I was 5 years old, is my favorite candy of all time. Nothing tastes like it. And the thing is, people don't like cinnamon. I love cinnamon candies. I love the taste of cinnamon. I love hot tamales. It's my favorite movie candy. Second only to peanut M&Ms. And I eat peanut M&Ms and popcorn. Putting chocolate in popcorn is always a good thing, especially with the salt. More salt and chocolate. But cinnamon saltwater taffy, so Roberto Suarez has got me some. So thank you, Roberto. I appreciate that. So there you go. I have nothing more.
Okay. We are caught up. So, Rob,
we are caught up.
Let's bring this one home. And I say, jede Person, die du triffst, hat eine Geschichte zu erzählen, die du noch zu hören hast. Alles, was du tun musst, ist zuhören.
Every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. All you have to do is listen. Oh, but speaking of Dan Candy, Dan Candy. Rob, how badass would a Doug McClure as Bowen Tyler action figure be? You know what? I've never thought of ever owning a Doug McClure action figure, but I would. The Land, is it the Land that Time Forgot? I think any Doug McClure action figure would be good. Bowen Tyler, okay. I'll give that to you.
They all come in a set.
Dan Candy is very funny. By the way, what we really need is true, proper Blu-ray releases of The Winds of War and War and Remembrance, because they were not even released by the same company, which sucks, but we need them. So there you go. But yes, now I want to say, since you've already said your goodbye, I want to thank Lord Toth and Tom Jr. Jackson for being moderators on this channel. I also want to thank Meekin Music for being a member of the channel for 28 months. Simon. Is that Simon?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Simon, thank you. This was a lot of fun. Irene Jobson, I hope you have a dirty evening, if you know what I'm saying. And thanks, everybody, for generously supporting the channel via Super Chats, tips, and memberships. And we will be having a member call next Friday. And who's getting mad, Heidi?
Adventure Square, reach out to me. You can reach out to me over Insta or any other way that you can to get me your address. So you will get Matt Heidi, and at least Rob will get his. I got this as a Schnäppchen.
I got it as a or you got me as a Schnäppchen. I should give that to Elizabeth. Science Lady's been a member of the channel for 10 months.
Ooh,
nice. Which is good. Yeah, and and Dieter, I mean, if I can figure out what's going on with Germany, October, I want to do the Robservation Nation tour, where Robservation Nation, and I want to go to the UK and party with Emma Bannon, and do all of that. So, and go to the UK and just meet more people. Maybe go up to Norway, go up to Finland, go to those islands in Finland.
Yeah, we did find out, Rob, that we have everywhere you can find somebody, in the
there you go. A Robservation Nation tour. I have to figure out how to pay for that. Maybe I could crowdfund it or something. But if I did that, we could have meetups and broadcasts from places. Like, how cool, because I bring a computer and microphones, how cool would it be to take, because I could just take webcams. It's not a big rig. You just need a decent, you either need decent Wi-Fi or a hard connector, an Ethernet cable. And how fun would it be to go to Germany for Tango Shalom when it opens in Germany, and then go from Germany, go all over the place. Could you take a week off? Because you could drive, right?
I would have to check, Rob.
Do you have a car?
Yeah, of course, Rob.
Well, I don't know. I know you help build transmissions and stuff, but I don't know. I don't want to assume that.
Of course, I have a car.
Well, let's.
I would think so. Have to go to work, do some shopping.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, hit the road, man. Come on, we can take a road trip and just broadcast. It'd be hilarious. Be great. Well, anyway, we'll see. We'll think about that. But so, Science Lady, and I guess we can end this show now.
It was a short one.
Yeah, short one. Sure. Absolutely. That's what I was thinking. All right, everyone. I guess until next week, we'll be doing more raw observations. You'll see a 10 and 20 drop this week, and for the first season of Star Trek. And on that note, I guess I can say have a better day.
Yes.